What is it about this college game that has brought Bill Walsh back to the sideline? What is it that makes a three-time Super Bowl winner come back? What goes through his mind as he watches his Stanford team prepare? Does he have the plan, the play to produce an unthinkable upset? Can Bill Walsh add to his coaching legend and beat Notre Dame?
This is Notre Dame Saturday with your hosts, Hannah Storm and Jim Lampley.
Notre Dame, Indiana, site of today's game between the 18th rated Stanford Cardinal and the unbeaten and 6th ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. A sunny and mild autumn weekend in South Bend. The Irish begin the second month of their season with the leaves beginning to change color around the Golden Dome. Outside the stadium, the pregame ritual for tailgaters includes the standard variety of pregame meals. On campus, the Notre Dame band busy doing its part to wake up late-rising members of the student body. Last season, Bill Walsh often heard that song as an NBC analyst on Notre Dame telecasts. Today, Walsh and his team arrived a short time ago, Stanford hoping to repeat its shocking 1990 upset of the Irish at Notre Dame. Lou Holtz arrived a short time later. Under Holtz, the Irish are nearly unbeatable in South Bend, winners of 27 of their last 31 home games. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley in our NBC studio in New York. Today's game vitally important to Notre Dame, as with a convincing win, the 6th-rated Irish stand to move up at least one place in the Associated Press top 10. Opportunity knocking for the Irish because the loser of today's showdown between number 2 Miami and number 3 Florida State figures to drop in the polls. And early in that game, Florida State has a 7-0 lead, having gotten a 94-yard return of the opening kickoff by freshman sensation Tamarick Vanover. Last year, the object of a recruiting battle between the two schools. Today, the man who puts Florida State on top. More on the top 10 later in the show. Right now, we will go out to a charged-up Notre Dame Stadium, where Hannah Storm has more on Bill Walsh's visit to South Bend. Good afternoon, Hannah.
Hi, Jim. It's an absolutely beautiful afternoon here at Notre Dame Stadium. And, you know, they don't have homecoming per se here at Notre Dame, but I must say this is definitely a homecoming atmosphere. A lot of anticipation for this game. And if there's any doubt that this is becoming an important rivalry for Notre Dame, all you have to do is look back to last year when Notre Dame coach Lou Holtz closed practice for the entire week leading up to the Stanford game. He added a few new wrinkles to his Irish offense and beat the Cardinal 42-26 at Stanford. No doubt Bill Walsh has been planning some trickery of his own for this year's meeting. Yesterday he held a closed practice at Notre Dame Stadium. We just happened to be testing our cameras and caught a little glimpse of that workout. Walsh, as you know, made 6 trips here last year, and he says he's quite comfortable in these surroundings, although he is a bit uneasy about his team's ability to match up with Notre Dame. Irish coach Lou Holtz has his concerns as well. He told me yesterday that he's worried that the Cardinal might put the clamps on his high-powered offense.
The question I have going into this football game, can we move the ball on Stanford? Can we run the ball? Can we protect the passer? Can our receivers beat their defensive back? These are questions I don't know. We don't go into many games where we have serious questions about our ability to move the football, but this week we do.
Notre Dame has been able to move the football better than any team in the nation. The Irish offense is ranked #1, averaging almost 40 points per game. Senior tailback Reggie Brooks is on pace to become the first 1,000-yard rusher in the Holtz era. And the back that burned the Cardinal last year was Jerome Bettis with 4 touchdowns. Ironically, quarterback Rick Meyer was advised by Bill Walsh to return for his senior season.
I spent a lot of time with Rick and his dad, I guess counseling, giving advice as to remaining at Notre Dame. Now, why did I do that? I don't know.
Meyer in the Irish backfield will face a Stanford defense ranked 2nd in the nation, allowing just over 13 points per game. The Cardinal defense returns 10 starters, led by outside linebackers Dave Garnett and All-America candidate Ron George, who has 7 sacks this season. But the challenge today is to stop the run after Stanford gave up 363 yards rushing to the Irish last season. Well, Walsh certainly inherited a terrific defense at Stanford, but his offense is still learning his system. Of course, some of Walsh's 49er teams didn't exactly hit full stride until midseason. But we do have a guy who knows just how dangerous a Bill Walsh attack can be when it is working properly. Chris Collinsworth's Cincinnati Bengals were on the losing end of a pair of Super Bowls to the 49ers. And Chris, I hate to bring that up, buddy, but what do you expect from Walsh today?
Yes, Hannah, it's true. Bill Walsh, the genius, does have a couple of my Super Bowl rings, but he also has a couple of problems here this afternoon. This Stanford offense has been a little bit sloppy in their last 3 or 4 ball games. You add that to the fact that a lot of the fans expect almost too much out of Bill Walsh. They want to see the trick plays, the gimmick plays out of him, and that's not what his offense is all about. It's a short, ball-controlled type of passing attack, and one of the problems that Bill will see today is the fact that Steve Stenstrom, his starting quarterback, really has not been able to practice all week. We saw him throw in pregame warm-up. He looked okay, but he did not throw a pass in practice this week until Friday, and he is facing a much improved Notre Dame defense, and with more on that defense, let's go to the old DB himself, John Dockery.
Thanks, Chris. Things got so bad for the Irish defense a few weeks back that people were saying to Devon McDonald that ND no longer stood for Notre Dame, but rather for no defense. What an insult to his defense. They did respond against a suspect Purdue team with a shutout, and that was a confidence builder, but today they will be severely tested by the genius of Bill Walsh and his short passing game. What we have here today is a chess match in cleats. It pits the offensive-minded Bobby Fischer of football, Bill Walsh, against his sometimes erratic Irish defense like a Boris Spassky. It'll be an interesting kind of matchup. It will be Walsh with the move. He sends Milburn out of the backfield. Holtz will have to respond. Does he cover with the linebacker Demetrius DeBose, an extra defensive back, or do he rush the battered Stanford quarterback? Well, Hannah, the Grandmasters are here today, and their pieces are in place.
Great analogy, John. I think that is exactly what we can expect. A chess match, and certainly one between two coaches with very different offensive philosophies. And when Walsh was working as a television analyst last year, he had plenty to say about Lou Holtz's strategy on game day. Holtz has not forgotten that criticism.
I have nothing but respect for Bill Walsh. There's no doubt my life's much more difficult because he was up in the press box last year doing our games and would criticize and second guess, and so that makes millions of people say, well, Bill Walsh is a genius. He says we got a dumb football coach. And so my whole life has changed in the last 12 months.
And so it seems a bit of animosity still lingers. And now Bill Walsh must put his words into action against Lou Holtz and Notre Dame. Next, a look at how Walsh's life has changed since returning to coaching on a college campus.
Coach, we got 7 on that. It's second down and 12, or second and... U formation. Second and 13. 28 back spread. Back split, yeah.
Notre Dame Saturday is brought to you by Pitney Bowes Copier Systems.
This is Grand Central Station, crossroads of the world, and this is the Pitney Bowes 9070 copier. What we're doing is letting people make free copies on a machine that has in excess of 1 million copies.
This is my best friend. I want to make a copy.
I know you want to make a copy. Come on over.
What do I do? Do I lift this up? Voila.
We're still here. It's a little warm, and the machine is still pumping out cool, crisp copies. We've run 1,013,643 copies and had a little gum on the flat glass, but I scraped that off, and the machine is working great.
Families are big business, so everybody says theirs is a family car. All right, tell me it has 90 cubic feet of passenger space like a Subaru Legacy then. Enough room for 5 so you're close but not touching me close. Tell me it has a quiet, horizontally opposed engine like the Legacy. There's enough noise already with a family. Tell me it offers all-wheel drive and anti-lock brakes like a Legacy. A family car is for my family, not some other family I don't care so much about. Tell me I have the money. I want to know what to drive.
When we're together, I want her to be thinking about just one thing. Me.
Sometimes I'll just see a certain guy and want to get close to him.
Perspiration's okay when you're playing tennis, but not when you're close.
If a guy smells, it's such a turn-off.
Get a little closer with Arid XX, the anti-odor antiperspirant. Arid XX helps keep you extra dry.
Yeah, I trust Arid.
Last Sunday, the Seattle Kingdome. Miami down by 5. 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. 3rd and 9. Dan Marino hits Fred Banks for the game-winning touchdown. A routine Marino come from behind victory? Hardly. OJ has the story of a TD pass unlike any other. Sunday on NFL Live.
The coaches taking center stage in today's matchup. Bill Walsh and Lou Holtz will match wits for the first time in their coaching careers this afternoon. At one time, Bill Walsh was seen as some sort of mad football professor, dreaming up these crazy offensive schemes. He was viewed as more of an intellectual, and he was not given a head coaching job until the age of 45, when he first coached at Stanford. 15 years later, Bill Walsh's genius as a football coach is widely recognized, and now he's come full circle. The professor is back in the college classroom.
Okay, Coach, we got 7 on that. It's 2nd down and 12. 99, 66 F counter from Brown right tight. Playing about 14 whams.
He's a teacher. He's a motivator. Well organized, knows his business, knows the game, and then can function under stress.
What he's doing, Coach, he hasn't been able. He's not coming off as primary receiver. He's slow to do it, and then he's got to get better at doing it, that's all.
There are strategies and tactics that have been practiced and planned and rehearsed, and yet all kind of forces work on both coaches and both teams. All kind of things can come unraveled. Mistakes can be made. The pressure is immense.
Jesus, if we can get through this game, I swear to God.
I'm a football coach, and I've been one for 30-odd years. It's what I do, and I do it well.
First play, go 99, boss. 99, you. Hold on, second one. Second one. Okay, halfback, 4 counter. Okay, Coach, he'll be coming up inside now on you. Well, let's hope that he bounces. All right. Inside. Outside. Touchdown. Go for 1. Nice job of running. Nice job of running. Beautiful job.
Game day in Palo Alto, California. The Stanford Cardinal carries on a tradition that dates back over 70 years. They march through a gauntlet of fans that stretches a quarter mile from locker room to stadium. In the midst of the team, back in his element, is Bill Walsh.
When you think of Bliss, you think of someone in a hammock outside in a fall day, half asleep. But Bliss is what you do. You thrive on it, and it's your very existence. So this is my Bliss.
You said that you left the NFL because a lot of the pressures that had built up there. But what is it about coaching at the college level that made you want to return?
Professional football obviously has been my life, but there are so many forces that work on the player and the coach. The coach doesn't have the support system that you'd have in college. Coach is often sort of hanging out there, and there's only so many years I think you can do that, because the bottom line in professional football is very singular. Super Bowl and win it. Nothing else will do. In college, I'm hopeful that there won't be quite that case, especially here at Stanford.
Oh, man, we should have called this out a double wing. Yeah, I know it. Damn it. Blitz. Blitz outside. Ah, you got it balanced up. Oh! Okay, here we go. All right, hey! So, 59Z corner. Stanford will take over. Get zone, Coach. Well, goddamn it, Coach. I mean, Okay, all right. Okay, let's see what happens. 46 corner route. Let's get up the field, Mike. Okay, Bill. It's a first down. Okay, first down.
Success in the NFL is not measured in first downs. The Super Bowl is the yardstick, and Walsh won 3 of them. But with his enormous success came more pressure to win, and Walsh left the NFL a tormented man.
The end of my NFL career was a tough one. It was almost anticlimactic. I was almost relieved, in a sense, to have been able to step away with a World's Championship, because it had become tumultuous in a sense. There was a lot of forces that were working on me, and I just felt that probably should have been enough. Tell Freddie to split about 6 or 7 yards on this thing, and then get his up that field, and you watch it.
I think you got to get your flanker close. Your flanker anchor close, you're okay. Yeah, but go double wing right tight, close and runners. Yeah, halfback south right close. Okay.
I'm not sure it's fun, but I thrive on it. I think that's more important to a person. There's gratification and a positive feeling of accomplishment and contributing to a young person's life and serving, in a sense, as a teacher. Those are the kind of things that you know underlie everything you do in college sports.
So if our back just cheats out a little bit, the back cheats out a little bit, you should have a good pitch.
The times that I've had a chance to go visit with him, he seemed pretty happy, and he's laughing about things and the way I remember him, you know, from years ago. And it's good to see. There's a lot of pressure in the NFL, and there's a lot of pressure where he's at now to win, but I think he's enjoying it just as much there as he has in the NFL.
We need a third down play here now. Let's go. Let's make a third down play. What do you got there? What's it look like back to right? Double jam. Nickel. Tony Klein, hold up. Hold up, Tony. Step up, step up. All right. Okay. Oh, I don't like it here. Yeah, he's real wide. William pinned him. Good job. Very good. All the angles are there. Oh, we got holding. Now, I want to tell you, that same guy, we want to find out his. That's the third one that he's thrown. They called Hoyam for holding. All right. Let's see if we can make it happen. They're going to hit it. Here he comes. Snake Mike. Fumble right into their hands. They're going to go for two. Two! All right.
You can just tell he's used to dealing with athletes like Montana and Rice and those kind of guys, and guys that have run the play so much more than we have and are, you know, their mistakes are so much less, you know, than we make, and it's, you can tell his expectations are so high, but you can also tell he understands, and he's really got a realistic outlook on things.
The patience Walsh has with his players does not extend to himself. He admits that 3 years in the broadcast booth have left him a little rusty.
Your mind is going a mile a minute to think of something and trying to get everything computerized in your mind as to what you're hearing from your coaches upstairs and from other people to come up with a call in a matter of 4 or 5 seconds. And you make some mistakes. The minute you make the call, when you're groping, you know you made a mistake.
Get Glenn over there and let him run it. Well, I can't get it to him. I know. He's... Hold on to the ball. Humiliating for me. I should have been throwing the ball here. I'm out of my mind. Okay, Coach. 1st and 17. Jesus Christ, Bill. You're nuts. Okay, all right. So humiliating. You guys got to tell me on that 1st and 17. Yeah. I don't know how it got by me.
This year, we haven't gotten into sync as an offense, so I'm sometimes groping, and usually, in that case, you start making some mistakes, and the minute you make the call, you say, uh-oh, why did I call that? And so that can be a problem.
Was this a risk at this point in your career, coming back to coach college football?
I know there was some risk, and there will always be, because at one point, I guess I could have stepped away, you could say undefeated, if I were thinking in boxing terms or something. But this is what I do, and you just can't spend the rest of your life going to banquets and hoping you're introduced.
Coach, we got 7 on that. It's 2nd down and 12, or 2nd and... Your formation, 2nd and 13. 28 back spread. Right, back split, yeah. They got an extra guy outside. This isn't good. Get inside, stay inside.
Won't say how long he'll continue coaching, although he does have a 5-year contract at Stanford. But one thing is for certain, Walsh told me this week he will never return to the NFL. When we return, a look back at the dramatic final moments of Stanford's last visit to Notre Dame Stadium.
Winning? But here's what Clinton economics could mean to you. $1,088 more in taxes. $2,072 more in taxes. 100 leading economists say his plan means higher taxes and bigger deficits. $1,191 more in taxes. $2,072 more in taxes. You can't trust Clinton economics. It's wrong for you. It's wrong for America.
This is a big car. Put it in park. Hey, how's it going?
It's going great.
Where's my food?
I love this place.
You know, you could have got the sandwich for 99 cents.
I didn't want that. I wanted this.
That's a smart move then, so you're having it your way.
99 cents per sandwich.
Sandwich. Can you do that?
Yeah, but it's called a croissant. Check in between the seats. You could reach down in there and find enough change to pay for it.
You got the sandwich? Is that your favorite thing to get?
Yeah.
It's your way right away.
Love this place.
Weekend. No tie, no briefcase, just plastic.
It all boils down to this. No other card you can carry is accepted in more places and in more ways.
Food.
At home and abroad.
Okay.
I got it.
Than MasterCard. It's the only card you need.
Rooms.
MasterCard.
Not a bad day's work.
Master the moment.
Hi, I'm Ross Perot. Join me on Saturday Night Live with musical guest Sinead O'Connor and host Tim Robbins. And by the way, I'm running for president, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it.
The last time Stanford visited Notre Dame Stadium, a dramatic finish. The Cardinal came back from a 17-point deficit as Tommy Vardell vaulted into the end zone for his 4th touchdown of the game and the go-ahead score. Just 36 seconds left, enough time for Rick Meyer to drive the #1 ranked Irish into touchdown range.
Here's Meyer rolling to the right, looking for Tony Smith. Comes to the left side to Derek Brown. He's down, dropped the ball in the end zone.
Well, it wasn't the best pass. There could have been. I think he got his hand on it, but it would have been too good almost if he'd have caught it, I think.
That 1990 loss to Stanford all but ended Notre Dame's hopes for the national championship. But the Irish actually won their first consensus national title by beating Stanford at the 1925 Orange Bowl. Stanford's nickname at the time was the Indians, and they were coached by Pop Warner. Knute Rockne was in his 7th season as Notre Dame's head coach, and he took his 31 players west to California. The 1925 Tournament of Roses parade ushered in the year of the Scopes trial, Flappers, and the Great Gatsby. That New Year's Day also marked the last appearance together of Notre Dame's fabled 4-horseman backfield. Rockne was worried about 89-degree temperatures in Pasadena, while Pop Warner declared the boys aren't afraid of Notre Dame. An estimated 52,000 filled the Rose Bowl, which in 1925 was not quite yet a full bowl. Stanford's Ernie Nevers single-handedly outgained the 4 horsemen, but Notre Dame's Elmer Layden returned 2 interceptions for touchdowns, and the Irish won easily, wrapping up a perfect season and the national title. That Rose Bowl victory gave Knute Rockne the first of his 3 national titles. At that time, the Notre Dame Victory March was just hitting the charts as the Irish fight song. Now, here's the band of the Fighting Irish with their 1992 rendition. We're just minutes from kickoff at an electrified Notre Dame Stadium. But first, course, Jim Lampley takes a look at some of the top 10 teams already in action on this college football Saturday. An update right after this.
When we're together, I want her to be thinking about just one thing. Me.
Sometimes I'll just see a certain guy and want to get close to him.
Frustration's okay when you're playing tennis, but not when you're close.
If a guy smells, it's such a turn-off.
Get a little closer with Arid XX, the anti-odor antiperspirant. Arid XX helps keep you extra, extra dry.
Yeah, I trust Arid.
Nipper and Chipper show us what the RCA home theater with SRS sound looks like. Now they show us what it feels like. Looks like. Feels like. Looks like. Feels like. Any questions?
Troy Dorsey, a non-stop punching machine. This former champion's tough trail back now goes through his opponent's hometown. Jesse James Leha, one of the best prospects in the ring today. Dorsey battles Leha, two tough Texans in a Lone Star showdown. Today on NBC.
Welcome back to Notre Dame Saturday. Before we check the scores of some top 25 games already underway, let's turn our attention to the Associated Press top 10. Later this afternoon, Washington will get a chance to defend its new #1 ranking at home against USC. In 1984, when last the Huskies were ranked #1 in the AP poll, USC upset Washington in Los Angeles. And in the last 5 meetings between these two teams, the winner every year has gone to the Rose Bowl. The much-anticipated showdown between second-ranked Miami and #3 Florida State already underway at the Orange Bowl. A lot of fireworks already, and Miami has taken a 10-7 second-quarter lead after Florida State had returned the opening kickoff, 94 yards for a touchdown freshman, Tamarick Vanover, with the score. Later on, #4 Michigan hosts Iowa. Senior quarterback Elvis Gerbach starting against the Hawkeyes after having missed the last 2 games with a sprained left ankle. The Wolverines begin conference play unbeaten, but the rest of the Big Ten is 10-17 this season against non-conference opponents. Michigan coach Gary Moeller.
We're starting into it now, and you know you can't have that one letdown. And I mean, we aren't going to be looking by anybody but Miami, Florida against a good Arizona team. I mean, you know, it's just football. But I guess that's the way the game's supposed to be. And if you're supposed to be a champion, you're going to make yourself a champion. If you want something, you got to go get it.
Already in action today, Texas Tech at #5, Texas A&M. The Aggies with their highest ranking in 17 years. No score so far. Tonight, 7th-ranked Tennessee will visit LSU. Vols coach Johnny Majors, back from heart bypass surgery, expected to resume from the sideline, coaching the only team in the country with 2 wins already over top 25 teams, Tennessee. Also tonight, 8th-rated Penn State travels to Giant Stadium to face 3-1 Rutgers. How good are the 4-0 Nittany Lions? Well, they're a lot better than the teams they've played. Penn State's first 4 opponents are a combined 1 win, 14 losses. Later this afternoon, 9th-ranked Alabama playing its homecoming game in Tuscaloosa. The Tide has won 60 of 81 homecoming games over the years. They face South Carolina today, loser of a school record 8 in a row. Alabama's defense coming off a shutout of Louisiana Tech. The Crimson Tide especially tough against the rush. The last time Alabama posted back-to-back shutouts 12 years ago in 1980. #10 Colorado is idle today. The Buffaloes will play at Missouri this coming Thursday night. Now a quick check of a couple of top 25 games already underway. Starting with North Carolina State at Georgia Tech. The Engineers have won 19 of their last 20 at home, and Sean Jones had gone 122 passes without an interception going back to the Aloha Bowl last year. Before that pickoff by Sebastian Savage of State, Terry Jordan drove the Wolfpack down the field after the end zone interception. This 11-yard touchdown pass to Robert Hinton put State up at that point in the game 7-3. They are in the second quarter in Atlanta, still 7-3 North Carolina State. Boston College at West Virginia. BC off to a 4-0 start, and Coach Tom Coughlin's team has shut out its last 3 opponents. But West Virginia ended that streak today with BC leading 3-0 in the second quarter. Rodney Woodard took off on this 47-yard run down to the 1-yard line. One play later, the fullback Woodard scored to end the shutout streak for the BC Eagles. It was 7-3 West Virginia at that point. Then Adrian Rurrell took a handoff, and the Big East's leading rusher broke up the middle and went 16 yards for a touchdown that made it 14-3 West Virginia. Morrell had set that up with a 31-yard run. Since then, a touchdown pass from Foley to Cannon for Boston College. It is 14-10 West Virginia at halftime in Mountaineer Land. And that's it for right now. We'll see you again at halftime with a thorough look at the college football scoreboard, complete with highlights. Coming up, the kickoff between Stanford and Notre Dame.
Tonight, a young boy's secret passion is exposed.
You're the one taking ballet.
And Malcolm Jamal Warner is leaping to the rescue on Here and Now. Then, on Out All Night, the guy who never grew up has become a role model.
Can I be your little brother? I think I'm gonna cry.
NBC Comedy Tonight.
Let's say this man is the heat in your home. We all know heat rises, which means without insulation, your heat and heat costs can go right through the roof. But with Owens Corning pink fiberglass attic blanket insulation, now just $5.29 a roll in Handy Andy's month-long catalog, you can keep heat from going through the roof and at the same time see your heat bills drastically drop. Handy Andy. A definite improvement in home improvement.
Guys and dolls, Newsweek raves, this is why Broadway was born. If you have one musical to see, make it this, and make it quick. Guys and Dolls, direct from Broadway to you, sponsored by Chrysler.
Coming October 6th through 18th for 2 fabulous weeks at the Fox Theater. Tickets on sale now at the box office, Ticketmaster, or charge by phone. Direct from Broadway to Detroit. Don't miss Guys and Dolls.
This week at Gardner White Furniture, get name brand bedding at
$1/2 price.
That's right, get selected Serta and Simmons mattresses on sale at
$1/2 price.
Twins, Bulls, Queens, Kings. Your choice. Starting at just $47 each piece. Get free next day delivery and pickup. Plus, Gardner White pays the interest for you till next year.
$1/2 price.
What?
$1/2 price.
At Gardner White Furniture, get Serta and Simmons bedding on sale at
The Tigers and the Blue Jays. See for yourself Sunday at 1:30 only on 4.
Your father had been molesting you since what age?
Suing your father for incest. Next, Montel Williams.
See for yourself on the Montel Williams Show Monday at 3 on 4.
On a sunny afternoon in South Bend, Indiana, the 18th-ranked Stanford Cardinals take the field, led by one of the game's top coaches, Bill Walsh, winner of 3 Super Bowls as coach of the 49ers. Of course, his last appearance here at Notre Dame Stadium was just under a year ago as an NBC commentator on Irish games. Bill Walsh never expected to be back here in this stadium as a coach, but ironically, his association with the Notre Dame coaches and players last year helped bring him back to the college coaching ranks. In fact, Walsh says without the contact with the Notre Dame players and other players from the teams that visited here last season, he may never have gotten back to college coaching. And here's the other half of the coaching equation, another giant of the game, Lou Holtz, preparing to lead his 6th-ranked Fighting Irish onto the field. This game matches not only 2 top 20 teams, the 2 teams that rank among the elite in college football, Notre Dame offensively and Stanford defensively. But the 2 coaches, Walsh and Holtz, have occupied pregame attention, and the Irish take the field. It is a gorgeous Indian summer afternoon in South Bend, Indiana, with game time temperatures in the mid-70s. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Notre Dame Stadium. Tom Hammond and Chris Collinsworth. You know, Chris, rarely does a matchup between two top 20 teams become overshadowed by personalities, but in this case, all the attention has gone to the coaches, Walsh and Holtz. What do you think the game really means to them?
Well, Bill Walsh says that this is just another football game. I'm not sure that I buy that. Anytime two top caliber coaches get together, you know that they want to get after each other. But Lou Holtz, on the other hand, was much more open. He said at times Bill Walsh embarrassed him during broadcasts on NBC last year. So you got to know that he would like nothing better than to turn the tables here this afternoon.
You know, it's one of those classic matchups, though, on the field. Notre Dame with the nation's best offense, Stanford with the second-ranked defense. What do you expect?
I think the first quarter is going to be the key. If Notre Dame's great rushing attack can move the football on the ground against this number 2 ranked Stanford defense, you're going to see Notre Dame have a lot of success. If not, I really look for the Cardinals to have a chance to win this ball game.
Through all the pregame hoopla, John Dockery's been keeping an eye on Bill Walsh and his Stanford team. Doc, what have you found out?
You know, Tom, I've been doing exactly that. I followed Walsh around pretty much between the pregame. He was generally relaxed, came out, signed a few autographs, said hello to a few people, spent some time with his quarterbacks, Stenstrom and Butterfield. Told me yesterday we would probably see Butterfield. But the thing that startled me most about the pregame, about the warm-up, was something that did not happen. Normally, coaches get together with one another. They talk a little bit. They shake hands. Bill Walsh, Lou Holtz, never came within 10 yards of one another, never shook hands, and that, to me, speaks volumes, guys. Back to you, Tom.
I think you're right, John. I think it tells us exactly how the coaches really feel about the game. The first quarter could be very important to the outcome today. Stanford has not allowed a point in the initial period, while the Irish are 42-10 in the opening quarter. Stanford has won the toss, and the Cardinal elects to receive. That's a familiar sight to Notre Dame fans, as the tradition is at the end of the game, the Notre Dame players salute their fans with their helmets held aloft. Stanford with a little pregame ritual of that nature here today. Hendrick to kick off, and Glenn Milburn deep for the Cardinal. This is the Mad Dog kickoff formation by Notre Dame, and it's a short kick by Hendrick, taken and fumbled. The ball is loose and finally recovered by Stanford about the 12-yard line. It was J.J. Lashley, one of the up men that initially had it, fumbled it, and then recovered it. Here's a look now at the Stanford offense. The quarterback, Stenstrom, has a bruised chest. He really couldn't throw in practice this week, but is hitting 60% of his passes. The Cardinal has a Heisman candidate in its backfield. Glenn Milburn, second in the nation behind Marshall Faulk in all-purpose yards. Cook is Stanford's leading receiver. And on the offensive line, left tackle has been a revolving door for Stanford. 310-pound Jeff Bailey starting there today. Stenstrom to pass on first down is sacked. Loose ball, Irish. Demetrius DeBose, the All-American linebacker, hitting Stenstrom. Is it a Notre Dame touchdown? Yes. No, a safety, a safety. So Stanford recovers in its own end zone. And the first play from scrimmage for Bill Walsh results in a safety as Demetrius DeBose knocks the ball loose from Steve Stenstrom.
Right off the bat, you see the problems that Stanford has had with that left side. Demetrius DeBose comes around the right side and does not even get blocked. And that is just absolute death for Steve Stenstrom, as the Cardinal has found the absolute worst way to open this ball game.
That was so close to being a Notre Dame touchdown. A couple of players had a shot at the loose ball in the end zone before Brian Cassidy, Stanford's left guard, could cover it for the safety and a 2-point Notre Dame lead.
And maybe now the more important question is Steve Stenstrom okay? Remember, he did not even practice until Friday of this week. He's walking around. The trainers are not looking at him, so apparently he is okay. Steve may have missed a read on that one. Anytime someone comes that free, you have to first look at the quarterback and figure out whether or not he missed a blitz read. I know in Bill Walsh's offense, the quarterback is responsible for blitzing linebackers at times, and because of the fact that he missed so much practice this week, maybe he just blew that read.
And of course, a blitz has been a rare thing for the Notre Dame defense this season. They perhaps surprised Stanford, and it results in a safety. Here's the kickoff. for the Irish. Straight up the middle. Stopped at the 45-yard line. Miller had a head of steam going. Finally tripped up. A 20-yard return by Miller before he's tackled by Billy Whitman. So here's Rick Meyer hitting less than 50% of his passes, but he needs only one aerial TD to set the Notre Dame record. This is that Heisman backfield. Meyer, Bettis, and now Brooks, who's averaging over 10 yards a carry, have all been mentioned for the honor. Dawson, the top receiver, and the offensive line. Keep your eye on Taylor and Hall. Bettis got only a yard or two, and Chris, this is that key stat for the Stanford defense. Can they stop the Notre Dame run? Here's the way they begin the game. Stanford up front with Avila, the best defensive lineman. The Stars, though, the outside backers. George, who has 7 sacks, and Garnett, who leads the team in tackles. In the secondary, they'll play a lot of man-to-man. Gordon and Bryant, 2 former wide receivers, are good cover men. 2 wide receivers left as Meyer swings the pass intended for Brooks and incomplete. John Dockery, Steve Stenstrom has been hurting from the chest pain. What about that first hit of the game?
Yeah, Tom, I talked to Doctor before the game, and he has that chest pain and a little bit of pain in his shoulder as well, but he's fine. He took a major hit from the backside from DeVos, as you mentioned, but there he is on the phone talking to the offensive coordinator. He's fine. Butterfield, the backup, still wearing his baseball cap, so Stenstrom will be back.
Johnson and Miller wide to the left. I formation in the backfield on 3rd down. Meyer under pressure. Nice catch made by Miller, and Mike Miller has a first down into Stanford territory, knocked out of bounds. The 35-yard line after an 18-yard gain.
And right off the bat, you see Notre Dame having success on 3rd down and 8. That is where Lou Holtz did not want to be. This Cardinal defense has allowed only a 16% of 3rd downs to be converted against them. So a big first play for Rick Meyer and Notre Dame.
Miller, the speedster, 3rd leading receiver for the Irish. That was his 6th catch of the season. In the eye with 2 wides to the right. And Bettis up the middle, bouncing off tacklers, driving his way inside the 25. Maybe a face mask as well, as Bettis has another Irish first down.
Look at Jerome Bettis. He's fired up. That's what it takes from time to time. You can't tackle him high. You can't tackle him low. Just grab that face mask and try and pull him down any way that you can. Bettis with the quick trap right up the middle. And you'll see the face mask right at the end of the play, just grabbing for anything to try and bring Bettis to the turf. That's Toby Norwood. But even that didn't stop Jerome Bettis. He just kept plowing ahead.
Bettis had a monster game against the Cardinal last year, rushing for 179 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Well, Notre Dame is rushing for an average of 316 yards a game. Stanford defense allowing only 79, but so far Notre Dame winning the battle.
Bettis again straight up the middle, powers his way to the 15-yard line, a gain of 4.
And this is what Lou Holtz talked about yesterday. He said, we have had big plays running the football throughout the course of the season, but on first down, we are just coming up with 2 and 3 yards too many times, and it's really hurt our offense. Once again, you see a pickup of 3 on first down.
Johnson and Griggs are wide to the right. Again, I in the backfield. Bettis the fullback, Brooks the tailback. Brooks gets 3 yards to the 12. Brooks, as we mentioned earlier, averaging over 10 yards a carry. Comes off his career best 205-yard performance against Purdue, 7th best in Irish history.
And this is exactly what I thought Stanford would come out with, the 8-man front. They are going to try and stop Notre Dame's rushing attack at all costs. They feel pretty comfortable in the secondary with Von Bryant and Darian Gordon playing man-to-man on Notre Dame's wide receivers. But so far, they have just had moderate success stopping the run.
Here's the option, and a pitch to Brooks. It's wide open. Brooks walks in for the touchdown.
George on that play made a big mistake. He just went right after Rick Meyer and left the pitch back completely free. Someone blew an assignment on that Stanford defense because there was no one to cover Reggie Brooks.
And Hendrick, who had a string of 130 straight points after broken against Purdue last week, kicks this one through, capping a 7-play, 55-yard drive.
Watch Ron George coming out of the right side of your screen. He is going to come right after Rick Meyer and try to make a play. And there was absolutely no one left to cover Reggie Brooks.
Reggie Brooks, who had 3 touchdowns a week ago, gets number 7 on the season. Notre Dame, 9-zip.
Fresh, pure, and natural. The only beer with the genuine taste of the king of beers, Budweiser.
The suspension system in the Oldsmobile 98 is engineered to provide you with a level of comfort that's virtually unheard of. The 98 from Oldsmobile. The power of intelligent engineering.
My husband, Elliot, he's an inventor. He's made a very good life for both of us. Last year, this big company paid a lot of money for one of his ideas. Elliot even thought about opening his own company, but in the end, we decided to invest the money. Besides, I'm not sure Elliot's cut out to work in an office anyway.
Ask your financial advisor about Nuveen tax-free investments, or simply call this number.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. By MasterCard. Master the moment with a card that's accepted at nearly 10 million places worldwide. And by Budweiser, the king of beers. With that clean, crisp, cold taste, nothing beats a Bud.
Notre Dame 9-0 over Stanford. A big defensive play set the tone for this game as DuBose knocked the ball loose from Steve Stenstrom. Notre Dame recovers for a safety and takes the ensuing kick for a touchdown. Hendrick kicking to Milburn, who takes it almost out of the end zone for the touchback. And Stanford, which has run only one play, that disastrous one in the game, will have the ball back.
Looks like there may be a flag on the play.
Illegal procedure on the defense. Stanford left his 5-yard zone too quickly.
You know, Tom, not only does the kicking team have to stay behind the line, but there is also a 5-yard strip that the defensive front line, the receiving team, has to stay between. They can't drop back too soon, and that's exactly what that penalty was all about.
Notre Dame opened defensively with a 6-man front, 1 linebacker and 4 defensive backs on the initial blitz and sack of Stenstrom. Let's see what Holtz does with his defense this time. DuBose made the sack, and it's been the biggest play of the game here in the first quarter. 12:35 left. Notre Dame taking command early.
And it was no surprise that they blitzed over that left side of the offensive line for Stanford. That's where they've had all their problems. Stenstrom steps up in the pocket and unloads it incomplete, intended for Wet Knight, the tight end. Flanagan was there putting pressure on Stenstrom, who stepped up, and the ball dropped by Wet Knight. It would have been only a short gain anyway. But that's one of the things when you play in a Bill Walsh coached offense, you have to catch the football. They're dependent upon moving the ball 3 and 4 yards at a time, hit one for 10, hit one for 8, and just march it down the field. But by dropping the pass, you really destroy the rhythm of that offense. Milburn
spinning his way for a gain of 4 or 5 yards to the 25. It'll be third coming up for Stanford. Now let's go to New York and check in with Jim Lampley for a college football update. Jim?
All right, Tom, the Georgia Bulldogs making their first trip ever to the state of Arkansas for a football game. In the second quarter, tailback Garrison Hurst, already having a spectacular year, gets his 10th touchdown of the season. That made it 10-0 Georgia, and Arkansas field goal has narrowed it to 10-3. Tom and Chris.
All right, Jim, here, 9-0 Notre Dame. Third down play coming up for Stanford. Stenstrom has time. Finally finds his receiver for a first down. Justin Armour, the converted quarterback who plays wide out now for the Cardinal, takes it for a gain of 17 and the initial Stanford first down.
Justin Armour on that play simply found a gap in the zone defense of Notre Dame. Notre Dame will find out very early that they cannot stay in a zone defense against this Bill Walsh offense. Watch Armour, number 80, right there. He's just going to find a hole. Keep moving, keep moving. DeBose overruns the play, and because of the fact that Stenstrom had time, he was able to deliver the completion.
Stanford with a first down. And again, they will go to the air. Stenstrom with a intended screen pass, I think, complete to Lashley, but the blocking broke down, and Notre Dame is able to stop it after a gain of only about 3 yards.
Watch Steve Stenstrom at the end of this play. He has been taking a beating all season long, and it is continuing this afternoon. It seems that every time Stenstrom throws the football throughout the first quarter of this season, he's been getting hit.
Brian Hamilton was the man that put the hit on that time. Met in the backfield and dropped is Milburn. Penetration again by Brian Hamilton. Hamilton, the junior from Chicago, has been playing for the injured Junior Bryant. He had a whale of a game against Purdue and comes up with a couple of big plays here early.
And Junior Bryant may not be able to get his position back. Brian Hamilton, you're not supposed to be able to make plays like that 2 yards deep in the opponent's backfield. That's a nice play. Boy, they have some big people on this Notre Dame defense. They really do.
And lots of them.
Oh, I'm telling you, we're down on the field and watching these guys warm up. They're just large human beings.
Irish in front, 9-0 first quarter. Formation overloaded to the right here. Receivers heading every which way. Stenstrom with a flag down and a nice catch made in traffic. It was Wet Knight, the tight end, and Covington was wrapped all over him, but it could be a holding call on Stanford.
Holding.
Penalties have been the Cardinals' undoing at times this year. Against Texas A&M, their only loss, a 3-point setback to the 4th-ranked Aggies. It was penalties that really kept them from winning the game.
You know, Tom, it's surprising to see a Bill Walsh coached offense that has been as sloppy as they have been. Let's get the call. But they really have its holding against Stanford. But in watching,
like you, that wasn't even.
No, but it wasn't against San Jose State last week. In the first half of that ball game, they were really struggling. They had a lot of penalties. They were missing handoffs. They were giving up a lot of quarterback sacks. It just is not what you expect when you watch one of Bill's teams play on offense. But in the second half, they came out and played much better. That was really what I expected to see here in the first half today, but we haven't seen it so far.
Miami and Florida State 10-10 at halftime. Here at Notre Dame, it's 9-0 Irish over Stanford after a safety and a touchdown drive. Stenstrom chased from the pocket, throws back across the field to Lashley. Lashley trying to put on some moves, can't make the 35-yard line. Demetrius DuBose all over the field, tracks down Lashley. It'll be 4th down for Stanford.
This crowd is really beginning to appreciate the Notre Dame defense and what they've done. Of course, the shutout last week. Watch Stenstrom again at the end of the play. He's going to take yet another shot. You just have to wonder how much longer he can last in this ball game. Mark Butterfield, we expect to see him before the day's over. But if Steve keeps getting hit like that, it may be sooner rather than later.
Here's the punt by Stonehouse. Miller hit immediately at the 40-yard line. Good coverage by the Stanford special teams. But a short kick, only 26 yards on the punt by Stonehouse. It's been all Notre Dame.
Oldsmobile redefines quality. Here's proof. Call 1-800-THE-TEST to get independent test results from a 100,000-mile real-world test of the new Oldsmobile Achieva against Honda Accord and Toyota Camry. Learn how Achieva outperformed Accord and Camry in total cost, which includes maintenance, repair, and operating costs. You'll even get a free video documenting the test. Achieva, quality redefined, from the company that went far enough to prove it. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
The Postal Service would like to present 2-day priority mail. That's delivery in just 2 days of up to 2 pounds for just $2.90. Remember, 2 days, 2 pounds, $2.90. 2-day priority mail from your Postal Service.
We deliver for you.
For pickup service, call 1-800-222-1811.
Weekend. No tie, no briefcase, just plastic.
It all boils down to this. No other card you can carry is accepted in more places and in more ways.
Food.
At home and abroad.
I got it.
Than MasterCard. It's the only card you need.
Rooms.
MasterCard.
Not a bad day's work.
Master the moment.
Wednesday. It's every parent's nightmare when your daughter's jilted boyfriend returns for revenge.
What if it were your daughter?
Share the outrage when he outwits the courts.
I'll take my chances with the jury.
USA Today calls it miles above the best.
Objection.
A must-see Law and Order, NBC Wednesday.
Nice job. Mike Turgovac talking to his defensive lineman on the sideline as Notre Dame goes on the offensive side of the football. Leading 9-0. That Stanford defense allowing only 13.5 points a game. Gave up 9 in the first 3 minutes of this one. Meyer rolls and delivers long. Griggs can't quite get it. He was wide open.
That pass did not have to be nearly that good. Ray Griggs was 10 to 15 yards behind everybody. Take a look. There is not a Cardinal defender anywhere in sight. And what you like to see out of your quarterback there is just take the 40-yard gain. Even if you get tackled on the spot, you have to stop and catch it. And Rick Meyer knows it. You just have to lay that one in there. Take the big play. Don't try to go for the whole ball of wax.
Meyer keeps on the option and is spun down across the 40-yard line. He only got a yard or so before he was stopped by Ron George, the All-American candidate on the defensive side for the Stanford Cardinal. There's George, number 29, from Heidelberg, Germany. His dad was in the military, though he was born in Michigan, grew up and played his high school football at the American High School in Heidelberg.
He has 7 sacks on the season already this year, only 8 in all of 1991, so he's having one tremendous year. Bill Walsh thinks he is a definite All-American candidate.
Meyer setting up a screen, complete to Bettis. Gets a beautiful block. Bettis into Stanford territory to the 43-yard line. Dave Garnett finally stops Bettis, but not before he rambled for 16 yards and an Irish first down.
This has been a good game plan by Lou Holtz thus far. One of the things that Stanford really likes to do defensively is put pressure on the quarterback. So what you have seen is the option game, the screen passes, the draws, all the things to try to slow down that pass rush, and they've been very effective thus far.
Bettis on the screen, sprung by a beautiful block from All-American candidate Aaron Taylor. Meyer again to pass, had to get rid of it quickly as he was under pressure. He hangs it up and throws it away. Johnson was down the right sideline as Meyer felt the pressure from Ron George. And Meyer a little slow getting up. There's a flag on the play.
Ineligible downfield on the offense.
First Irish penalty of the afternoon as Holtz gets an explanation, and Meyer taking some punishment that time.
That turnabout fair play. Steve Stenstrom has been hit enough. Now Rick Meyer gets a shot. But what Stanford is doing defensively now, they are playing almost exclusively an 8-man front on first down. They are just daring Rick Meyer to throw the football, and that's exactly what he does there. They had bump and run, man-to-man coverage on the outside. Fred Von Appen, the defensive coordinator, starting to take some chances now defensively. You almost have to, down 9-0 with the way that this Notre Dame offense is beginning to roll. Last year, Notre Dame beat Stanford 42-26, and Notre Dame had 487 yards of total offense. Von Appen said, well, we can't cancel the game, so I guess we'll have to go.
Again, Meyer will go to the air. Behind the intended receiver, Mike Miller. Miller wants interference, but the ball was behind him as Meyer misfires once again. And time for us to check in once again with Jim Lampley for a college football update.
All right, Tom, in Charleston, West Virginia, Boston College, already with its best start in 8 years, looks to go 5-0 for the first time in 38 years. First possession, second half, 18-yard Chucky Dukes touchdown run puts the Eagles on top of the Mountaineers, 17-14. Tom Hammond.
All right, Jim, Boston College, one of the surprises of the football season, will be making an appearance here at Notre Dame Stadium later in the season. Meyer throws into a crowd and too high for the intended receiver. It'll be incomplete as Lake Dawson took a pretty good blow, too, from John Lynch, the free safety.
Wow, this is what you don't like to see if you're a wide receiver. Lake Dawson being strung out over the middle. John Lynch right in the rib cage. Tom,
you can tell me about it, huh?
That's what keeps you up late at night when you're a wide receiver, those crossing routes. And look at Lake Dawson. That was a devastating hit by John Lynch. Those hurt. Believe me, those hurt.
3rd and 15. This has been an exclusive aerial drive by Notre Dame. They have not attempted a rush. Meyer, chase from the pocket. Bettis is there to protect on the other side, and that one was nearly picked off. Clint Johnson was the intended receiver, but it was Darian Gordon, the cornerback of Stanford, who was covering Johnson, that had the best shot at it.
And Darian Gordon had that one measured all the way. You see defensive backs, the good ones, do that from time to time. He made Rick Meyer think that Clinton Johnson was open, and then boom, jumped right in front of him, and really should have had that interception.
So Notre Dame must punt as Stanford stacks the defense to stop the run, and Notre Dame can't convert through the air. Milburn is the deep man for the Cardinal. Hendricks kick. Sailing punt. Bounces at the 2 and into the end zone. So Hendrick with a 48-yard punt and the touchback. Lake Dawson nursing some sore ribs after that last hit, but Notre Dame in front.
This Heisman Trophy moment is brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. As an all-around athlete, Notre Dame's Johnny Latner had few peers. Latner's outstanding versatility made him an All-American on both offense and defense. At Notre Dame, Latner played for Frank Leahy, who once told Latner to repent 5 mortal sins after Latner had fumbled 5 times against Purdue. After repenting, Latner went on to his Heisman Trophy moment.
Most people know State Farm sells car and homeowners insurance. Some people don't know State Farm sells life insurance, too. I'm State Farm agent Cecil Burt. Our life insurance policies, our prices, and our financial ability to deliver on our promises, plus the good neighbor service State Farm agents are famous for, have made State Farm one of the largest of all life insurance companies and an outstanding life insurance value.
State Farm sells life insurance.
July 1992, Oldsmobile goes further than any other car company to redefine quality. Further than the lab, further than the test track, the Oldsmobile Achieva went 100,000 miles against Honda Accord and Toyota Camry in a real-world test. Independent test results prove Achieva outperformed Accord and Camry in total cost, which includes maintenance, repair, and operating costs. Achieva, quality redefined. From the company that went far enough to prove it. Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering.
My husband, Elliot, he's an inventor. He's made a very good life for both of us. Last year, this big company paid a lot of money for one of his ideas. Elliot even thought about opening his own company, but in the end, we decided to invest the money. Besides, I'm not sure Elliot's cut out to work in an office anyway.
Ask your financial advisor about Nuveen tax-free investments, or simply call this number.
Arch Karai puts his title on the line as the best meet the best. Who is the Old Spice King of the Beach? Find out next Saturday on NBC Sports.
Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, John Dockery at Notre Dame Stadium. That's Lake Dawson, the wide receiver of the Irish, getting some ice taped to his ribs where he took a vicious shot the last time the Irish had the ball. Here's Milburn on a first down run for the Cardinal. Somehow gathers 5 yards before he's banged to the turf, and first down has been a problem for the Stanford offense. They wanted to do well on first down to give them more options, second and third down, but so far Stanford averaging less than a yard per play on first down, while Notre Dame is averaging over 3 yards on their first down play.
But they're beginning to get into what I thought they would, and that's feature Glenn Milburn. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate. He's the guy that can do something with that football.
Here's a fake to Milburn, and Stenstrom's pass is complete to Laslier, who is knocked out of bounds at the 30, close to a first down.
Boy, it just makes such a difference when you pick up 4 or 5 yards on first down and can come back with the play-action pass. That time you saw Stenstrom with plenty of time to throw. But the play-action doesn't work if your running game is not effective. So they really go hand in hand. That time when Milburn picked up the 5 yards on first down, it really set up that second down pass. Now Bill Walsh and his offense, they're beginning to settle down. I really thought they came out awfully nervous here early in the first quarter, but it looks like they're finally beginning to find the rhythm.
Walsh has the first 25 plays on offense scripted before he comes to the stadium. This is Milburn in motion. Stenstrom. Dangerous pass. They got away with it. Complete to Cook. Cook made a catch in traffic. It'll be close to another first down. They'll mark it just a yard short.
One of the things that Bill Walsh said that he thought they could take advantage of was the discipline of Notre Dame's defense. They're trained to drop into their zone defenses at very specific places and not really move, to plant their feet and to not dance around much. He felt like there were certain small holes in that defense that they could work the short passing game.
Second and less than a yard. Notre Dame stacked up front to stop an expected run, and it is a run and a fumble. I believe Stanford got it back, and it will be a first down. Ellery Roberts got the call. He is Milburn's backup at tailback. Fumbled the football, but Stanford able to recover.
Nice job by Steve Stenstrom. Guy with a bad shoulder, has a bruised chest, didn't practice at all during the week. You'll see the fumble, but Stenstrom keeps his eyes on the ball. There it is, it comes free. Now watch Stenstrom, bad shoulder and chest and all, dive and beat Carmelia McGill to the football.
Steve Stenstrom had his footwork as a problem early, and Joe Montana, of all people, the former Notre Dame player, came in to help him with his footwork in the passing game. That one is complete. Good footwork by he and his receiver, Mike Cook, who gets a foot down in bounds into Irish territory for the first time today.
Now, what's Tom Carter doing on this one? Mike Cook is a guy that runs about a 4.6 40. He's not the quickest guy in the world. And Tom Carter, one of the top defensive backs in the country, was playing him like he's a Rocket Ishmael or something. I mean, he was way off a simple comeback route. Tom's going to have to walk up much closer to these Stanford receivers because they simply can't run with Tom Carter and Greg Lane in the secondary.
Stenstrom has hit all 3 of his passes on this current Cardinal drive. Milburn, nothing there. He only needed a couple of yards for the first down. He got maybe half of it. It'll be third down and a little less than a yard for Stanford.
Glenn Milburn in 1990 had 2,222 all-purpose yards. That is a Cardinal record and also second in Pac-10 history. He is one of the most exciting players you'll see. He returns both kickoffs and punts, and he comes out of the ball game on third down. That's a little bit of a surprise.
This is the Stanford heavy load, which has Nathan Olson as the H-back. He's Merlin Olson's son. He's 245 pounds, and they have 2 tight ends. The second one normally a tackle, Jack Bucky. And something wasn't quite right as they went to their heavy load formation, and Stanford is forced to call a timeout.
Well, they had Nathan Olson, all 250 pounds of him, flanked out as a wide receiver. Maybe that was the problem.
They'll talk about it. It'll be short yardage for a first down when we come back.
So I stop at the car wash on my way to this big appointment. And you wouldn't believe it, but somehow my keys get locked inside my Cutlass Supreme. So I called the Oldsmobile Edge. They sent someone out, said they'd pick up the tab, and in no time, I'm in my car and on my way. I didn't even miss my appointment. You know, there really is a car company that cares. Oldsmobile has the edge.
I take my son to daycare every day, and his security is my primary concern.
Paul Kewen talks about his new Goodyear AquaTread radials.
When I first saw the AquaTread, I thought, okay, I see how the water is going to flow away.
The advanced Deep Groove Aqua Channel channels water away as you drive.
I feel like I've got control in different conditions.
AquaTread, only from Goodyear. Paul Kewen knows, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
I feel very confident.
Presenting the RCA 52-inch projection screen home theater. It's bigger and brighter than almost anything out there.
Last Sunday, the Seattle Kingdome. Miami down by 5. 2 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. 3rd and 9. Dan Marino hits Fred Banks for the game-winning touchdown. A routine Marino come from behind victory? Hardly. OJ has the story of a TD pass unlike any other. Sunday on NFL Live.
Sun glistening off the Golden Dome of the Notre Dame Administration Building, probably the most recognizable building at any American college or university. And that shot provided by the Goodyear blimp Stars and Stripes, the newly designed blue and gold airship representing the oldest American tire maker, Goodyear.
And here's a good situation for Bill Walsh. They have 3rd and 1 inside the 50-yard line. This is when Bill Walsh will typically come up with some kind of a gimmick play if he has it in his book, because even if it fails, you can always come back and go for it on 4th down.
Heavy load formation includes the 250-pound Olsen in the backfield. The give straight ahead and a first down by Roberts, and then some. Ellery Roberts pounding straight ahead, finally stopped by Tom Carter as Walsh picks up a key first down on a drive that began 2.5 minutes ago and continues with that first down into Irish territory.
I guarantee you Lou Holtz on the sideline said, watch for the trick play, watch for the trick play. Bill Walsh on the other sideline was probably saying, I think they're going to think that I'm going to do a trick play, so I hand it off up the middle, and boom, they break it for about 13. The chest patch.
A little reverse psychology. This is the heavy load formation again. Olsen is number 40 to the right in the backfield. High formation with Milburn. And the give again to Roberts, and Ellery Roberts stopped by Jermaine Holden. Notre Dame was ready for the run that time and stopped him for a loss on the play.
Well, that looked like just one major scramble drill in the backfield. They had guards pulling, tackles pulling, misdirection with the fullback, with the tail. They had about 7 different people crossing. Watch this. They're going to go to the left, they're going to go to the right, and but the Notre Dame defense was having none of it. They just get the penetration and stop them for a 2-yard loss.
9th play of the drive. Notre Dame leading 9-0. Stenstrom's pass through into double coverage, and it falls incomplete. Mike Cook was covered by Burris and Lane, and Stenstrom is lucky that one wasn't intercepted.
Jeff Burris, the free safety for Notre Dame, really made a nice play on this one. He had that play read all the way. Stenstrom didn't do a very good job with the play-action fake, and Jeff Burris never moved from his safety position. They were hoping to draw him up and throw it in behind him, but Jeff Burris would have nothing of it. Really a bright football player. He's the captain of this defense, makes all the defensive calls.
Now 3rd and 12, 3:25 left in the opening quarter. Stanford at the 39 of Notre Dame. Stenstrom in the flat, incomplete, intended for Milburn, covered by DeBose. And that's what the Irish linebacker does so well, cover backs coming out of the backfield. And he was right on the spot there, even though Stenstrom's pass was too wide to be caught.
Tom, we talked about it last night, but what a difference Demetrius DeBose makes on this football team. He is a young man that is full of life. He's patting everybody on the back, walking around and jabbing at all the different teammates that he has. And he's just a marvelous physical specimen. I was down on the field for the pregame show, and he was throwing the ball in perfect spirals, jumping up and making one-handed catches. He's just a terrific athlete.
Stonehouse with his punt, his second of the day, tries to angle it out of bounds, gets a great bounce, and Stanford will down it deep in Irish territory. They'll mark it at about the Notre Dame 3 as Stonehouse, a little pooch punt, and it goes out of bounds deep in Notre Dame territory. They'll mark it right there at the 2-yard line. There's some big NFL games coming up on NBC tomorrow. It starts with NFL Live at 12:30. And then a key matchup in Buffalo, 2 unbeaten teams. Dan Marino with a new target, a new tight end to throw to tomorrow, as you know, and Jim Kelly in that high-powered Buffalo offense as well. And then 4 o'clock game, some of you will see Kansas City and Denver as they battle for the lead in the AFC West.
I think Dan Marino is happy to get Keith Jackson on his team.
I don't know how effective Jackson will be, but coming in with just a few days practice, as big a target as Jackson is, he can probably be effective with a guy like Marino. Be interesting to see. Metis gets nothing as Stanford continues to deny the Irish the run.
And this Stanford defense has really become awfully stout on first down. Once again, you see only a gain of 1 yard so far on the afternoon. Rick Meyer only 2 for 7. He was just 6 for 16 last week. And on first down, Meyer 0 for 2 in the ball game. So Lou Holtz having some decisions to make. They're playing that 8-man front. He's not really sure whether to run it or pass.
This will be a pass. Meyer from his end zone. Lets it fly over the head of the intended receiver. Actually between 2 receivers, Johnson and Jarrell. And it'll be 3rd down. Fred Van Appen, the defensive coordinator of Stanford, was an assistant to Lou Holtz at Arkansas, and he has had a recent history of stopping the Notre Dame run. Last year, when he was defensive coordinator at Pitt, he cut off the Irish ground attack. He did the same at Stanford back in 1989.
Well, another 3rd down for Notre Dame. We told you earlier that this has been one of the best teams, one of the best defenses in the country on 3rd down. You see Lou Holtz not happy with exactly what's going on. His team not able to move the football the way that they have in previous weeks. So he calls a timeout, talk it over with Rick Meyer. But this Stanford defense has been an absolute bear on 3rd down, allowing only 16% of conversions on 3rd down. And so far, they're living up to the reputation.
And Meyer, as Notre Dame is forced to the air, has not had a good day. Only hit 2 of his first 8 passes for 34 yards. Notre Dame, though, has a 9-0 lead. It happened on the opening series of the game. First play from scrimmage belonged to Stanford. Demetrius DuBose sacking the quarterback Steve Stenstrom, knocking the ball loose, recovered in the end zone for a safety. Notre Dame took the ensuing kick, marched down the field for a touchdown on a run by Reggie Brooks. And so all the scoring occurring in the first 3 minutes. 2:32 left in the first half. Here is Lake Dawson, the Irish receiver who took a shot to the ribs, now being fitted with some rib pads, a flak jacket of sorts.
Tom, you cannot catch the football with those things on. I had cracked ribs one time, and you see how far away from their body, his body, that it sticks out. You have to catch the football with your hands if you're Lake Dawson out. Anything that comes into his body, see how it is? And it's a spongy, foamy kind of material. I've had balls bounce 10, 20 yards off of that thing. I tried to wear it one day in practice. Only made it about 10 minutes. I made them take it off because you just could not catch anything that came into your body.
Dawson with bruised ribs on the sideline where he's needed on this 3rd and 9 play by Notre Dame deep in their own territory. Meyer from the end zone. Brooks dropped it. So this latter half of the first quarter, it's Stanford winning the field position battle. Notre Dame must punt from its own end zone.
And once again, John Lynch, who put Lake Dawson out of the ball game already. Watch after Brooks drops the ball. Well, I tell you, that's one of those situations. You're going to get hit anyway. You might as well catch it. That was the theory that got me through many a crossing route. John Lynch making people pay for coming into his territory.
Coy Gibbs got a piece of him as well.
John got a little bigger piece, though.
Mr. All-Purpose, Milburn deep as Hendrick will punt from his own end zone. Good sailing punt by Hendrick. Milburn backpedals all the way to his 34-yard line. Milburn up the middle, cuts to the outside.
outside and is finally tripped up at the Irish 39-yard line by Jerome Bettis. What a return by Milburn, 27 yards after Hendricks' punt sailed 61.
What an exciting young man he is. He's averaging 210 all-purpose yards per game. If he continues on that pace, he'll break Marcus Allen's single-season record from 1981 of 2,259 yards. He is dynamite in a bottle.
Lynn Milburn, who has over 1,700 career rushing yards. We visited with him on the Stanford campus earlier this week, and told us that he began his college career at Oklahoma because he was comfortable in Norman. He had gone to some summer camps there, but after the recruiting wore off, he realized that Stanford was the place he should be. Play action pass. Stenstrom found the open man. He pays for it. A clothesline on Milburn, but he held on to the football as Carter nearly took his head off. It'll be a Stanford first down at the 25 of Notre Dame.
Bill Walsh has a saying about on crossing routes and out routes, if you read zone, sit down or die. And that's almost what happened. Watch Milburn almost get his head taken off by Tom Carter in a zone. You have to get out there and sit down and not run into that zone defense. Tom Carter with a big hit.
Last 2 minutes of the opening quarter. Irish trying to protect that 9-0 lead. Reverse. The give is to Calamise. Calamise, one of the quicker wide receivers on the end around, has a first down before he's banged out of bounds at the 19-yard line by DuBose and Burris.
Well, the first bit of trickery out of Bill Walsh, and it was a nice play. They've been running some of that misdirection, the cross trap type of action in the backfield, and here they come with a reverse off of it. If you're a defensive player, you see all that movement, you don't even consider a reverse coming behind it. You can see a little more blocking out in front, a little better blocking. He may have sprung it.
You know what impresses me about Walsh's team? They didn't lose their composure. Down 9-0 in a heartbeat, and here they are trying to get back in the game. First down, Cardinal. Stenstrom, delayed handoff to Lashley. And the ball loose. Notre Dame has it. Demetrius DuBose, who forced the earlier turnover, knocks the ball loose this time, and Notre Dame recovers.
Tom, that's exactly what I've been talking about with Bill Walsh's offense. I'm sure he's as confused as everybody else, but this Stanford offense has just continued to beat itself. Here they had a beautiful drive going down the field. You've seen them lay the ball on the ground now a couple of times, make some misreads on pass routes. This is a team that has not quite gotten a hold of this offense.
There's DuBose, 31, stripping the ball, and Jermaine Holden cradles it for the turnover. First down play on the ground. It's Lee Beckton into the game, replacing Brooks, who has stopped for a short gain. Let's see if this test of the Stanford composure will hold up. There's Lynch, the free safety, who's leaving the game. Tommy Connect is his backup.
Sayon Albert came up and just made a huge hit on that play. He's a very physical, strong safety from Stanford. And when you get that kind of run support out of your defensive backfield, it just makes all the difference in the world.
Actually, a loss on that first carry. Draw play, Beckton. Beckton tackles short of the 20-yard line. Inside the final minute of the first quarter with the Irish up 9-0. Toby Norwood with that last tackle.
Grunholz came out with that one series when Stanford was playing so much of the 8-man front, and they tried to throw the football. He was very aggressive going down the field, but now it looks like he's reverted back to trying to rely on that running game after having not had success throwing the ball.
Only 38 yards on the ground for that high-powered Notre Dame rushing attack. Meyer rolling to pass. On the money and complete to Gerald. Adrian Gerald has an Irish first down. Out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Knocked out by Vaughn Bryant after an 18-yard gain.
Tom, that's such a tough play to try and defend. You've got bump and run, man-to-man coverage on the outside. And as a quarterback, Vaughn Bryant is expecting this ball to be thrown from back where it was originally snapped. Well, now Rick Meyer rolls out, gets the direct shot in there to Adrian Gerald, and it's a very easy pitch and catch. That's something that Bill Walsh used to like to do a lot of with the 49ers.
Bettis tests the center of the Stanford defense and gets a couple of yards.
Boy, Stanford has just done a great job on first down against this Notre Dame offense. Surprisingly, where they've had their problem has been on third down, which is where they've been the best throughout the first 4 games of the season.
The opening series of the game has been the story so far. We've played a quarter at Notre Dame where the Irish up 9-0.
An Indy engine today costs in excess of $100,000, so it is a major investment. And we think it's very important to use Pennzoil to protect that investment. The quality of Pennzoil is very important to us. It's always high quality. Pennzoil has never let us down. If Pennzoil is good enough for us, it's certainly good enough for the average car owner. I use it in every car I own and drive. Performance, protection, quality. That's what Pennzoil means to me.
Months ago, I'm at the dentist, not feeling overly anxious when I heard that unforgettable word, cavities. Doctor, I said, is there any hope?
Mandy, he said, you gotta brush twice a day the right way.
If your child brushes every day for 6 months with Crest, the dentist's choice, their next checkup will be great. And we're so sure you'll be satisfied, we'll give you a money-back guarantee.
So I brushed with Crest, and I'm sitting pretty.
Crest, great checkups in 6 months, guaranteed.
Ain't life grand?
When life turns up the heat.
Can they start the wedding without me?
This shouldn't take long, honey.
Nothing protects you like Degree antiperspirant. It's body heat activated to release extra protection. Degree, your body heat turns it on.
There are 2 people who can raise your income and lower your taxes right now. You and your financial advisor. Call and find out how you can increase your spendable income with Nuveen tax-free mutual funds.
The Bills. With machine gun Jim Kelly and the electrifying Thurman Thomas, Buffalo's offense has scored the most points in the NFL. The Dolphins. Their feared passing attack can light up the scoreboard as well. It's Kelly versus Marino in a battle of undefeateds. Sunday.
Notre Dame defensive coordinator Rick Mentor talking to his unit. They've had a pretty good first quarter. 2 points and forced 2 Stanford fumbles.
Continue to build on the shutout from last week over Purdue.
Stanford defense hasn't been so shabby. Notre Dame has a 9-0 lead, but they amassed only 89 yards in the first quarter. That's the nation's most high-powered offense. Counterplay. Brooks cuts back, still on his feet. Brooks to the outside. Knocked out of bounds inside the 40-yard line of the Cardinal by Ron George. 29-yard run by Reggie Brooks, who has been brilliant so far in this young season.
You're going to see the counterplay. It'll start this way and then bounce back here. They're trying to use some misdirection to get this Stanford defense, which likes to move around anyway at the pre-snap, to get them flooring the wrong way, then come back the other way. Reggie Brooks, who has been absolutely spectacular this year, averaging 10 yards a carry with another big play.
Here he is on the pitch. Brooks can't turn the corner this time. Wrestled down by Darian Gordon, who came up from his corner spot. Meanwhile, let's go down to John Dockery for an update on an injury to the Stanford defense.
And Stanford defense, a very critical player. John Lynch is behind me, number 17. You see the doctors checking him out. He missed a tackle on that long run, Tom. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but Tom Homo, the defensive coach, told me he was critical to the Stanford defense. And when you consider the complexity of that defense, the free safety is the man who has to come up and stick Bittis and Brooks, worry about the pass, then worry about the option, and then the pass off the option. So this is a critical injury for Stanford.
Thomas Connect has replaced Lynch. Here's Brooks doing his thing again. Almost got free. Tripped up at the 30-yard line by Connect. This guy is scintillating. He has developed, I don't know, Chris, is there a better runner in college football these days?
Well, you're not going to see very many. And the thing about him that I didn't realize was just how fast that he is. Remember last week on that 70-yard run, he just ran away from Jimmy Young, who's one of the quicker corners in all the country.
6 carries, 55 yards, and a touchdown so far today. Pitch to Becton. Becton, what a move of his own. He's down to the 14-yard line. Lee Becton, who is Brooks' backup, not to be outdone, takes it for 16 yards.
Boy, and I tell you, John Dockery hit it right on the money with the way that they're playing defense. Now Tommy Connect in for John Lynch. Watch number 14, Connect miss the tackler. That is an open field play that John Lynch traditionally will make. And he is going to have to play better than that, or they're going to eat them up on this option play.
Lynch may have a concussion. He has experienced dizziness and is still out of the game. Bettis bouncing off tacklers, punishing those defenders to the 6-yard line. Darian Gordon finally got him down.
Tom, the amazing thing about this is that Stanford is standing in there with this 8-man front. You can't play a 9-man front because you have to play the wide receivers. That is as many people as Bill Walsh can put on the line of scrimmage, and yet Notre Dame continues to have success on the ground.
Stanford held the running game in check for a while, but this is typical Irish football as they power it down the field. Bettis spun down at the 5-yard line, a gain of only 1.
Well, I take it back. Exactly what I said. I said they couldn't play a 9-man front. Well, look, there's 9 guys right there. They're going to try and do whatever they can. Fred Von Apen said that in order for us to stop this rushing attack, we'll put as many people as necessary up there and dare them to throw the football. That's exactly what they did that time.
11th play of the drive coming up. There's been only 1 pass so far. The Irish have it 3rd and a yard from the Stanford 5. Brooks, Becton, and Bettis in the backfield. And that should be an Irish first down. Notre Dame began this drive on their own 15, and they have advanced it all the way down. They'll have a 1st and goal.
When Jerome Bettis gets his hands on the football, almost impossible to stop him in a 3rd down or a 4th down in less than 1 or 2. He is a guy that they are calling, they call Bettis and Brooks now Thunder and Lightning. That's Lou Holtz's name for that, and you don't have to guess who the Thunder is of that group.
Jeff Burris in the backfield now. He's normally the free safety, but he has carried the ball 3 times this year for 1 net yard. That's that old-fashioned T formation, full house backfield. Bettis straight ahead and got maybe a yard, and now Brooks will go back in the game.
Tom, one of the things that full house backfield does is allow Stanford to play all 11 guys between the tackle. When you spread out the defense, one of the things that I never agreed with offensive coordinators about is the idea of making it so compact on the goal line. You don't have to block people if you spread them out. Just get them out there and give your running back some room to run.
Burris, Bettis, Brooks in the backfield. Pitch it to Burris. He's got a touchdown. The safety scores a touchdown on the pitch. Jeff Burris.
Nice call by Lou Holtz. He saw the same thing that I did, that they really had taken all 11 guys and placed them between the tight end on either side, come with the option game down the line. There just wasn't anybody outside to try and cover the pitchback. You'll see here all these guys right in the middle of your picture, and there is simply nobody outside. Look at Reggie Brooks. He doesn't even have anybody to block. Nice call by Lou Holtz.
Hendrick for the extra point. And it sails through. Beautiful drive by the Irish. They get that running game going. 85 yards. Burris scores to make it 16-0.
A test drive, 6 miles on smooth roads. If I was only driving 6 miles on smooth roads, I'd buy a bike. I'd get in shape. Let me test drive in rush hour traffic so I can see if it'll last like a Subaru. Let me test drive it to snowy Alaska so I can see if it has all-wheel drive like a Legacy. Don't take me around the block. Let's get it to 50 and slam the brakes so I can see if it offers anti-lock brakes like a Legacy. Test drives aren't real. What's real is the money I'm spending. Show me. Tell me. I have the money. I want to know what to drive.
This is Grand Central Station, crossroads of the world, and this is the Pitney Bowes 9070 copier.
What we're doing is letting people make free copies on a machine that has in excess of 1 million copies.
This is my best friend. I want to make a copy.
I know you want to make a copy. Come on over.
What do I do? I lift this up? Voila.
We're still here. It's a little warm, and the machine is still pumping out cool, crisp copies. We've run 1,013,643 copies and had a little gum on the flat glass, but I scraped that off, and the machine is working great.
Take one and action. Hey, what's the best thing about breakfast at McDonald's?
Coffee.
Pour it out of the cup, it's steaming, it's dark and rich.
I pour it personally.
Coffee fresh?
Fresh brewed. Fantastic cup of coffee.
So what's the secret?
Arabica.
Oh, what's an Arabica?
Arabica beans.
Oh, the beans. And what else?
It's always fresh.
It just tastes good.
And they like to come in and talk with each other, and just like the small coffee shop long ago.
How much a coffee refill?
They're free. What you want is what you get.
It's guaranteed.
Want some?
Yeah.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Subaru, it's what to drive, by Pitney Bowes Copier Systems, and by McDonald's, home of the new McDonald's guarantee.
Bill Walsh finds himself down 16-0 to Notre Dame. 10:57 left in the first half. A costly fumble deep in Irish territory leads to another long drive by Notre Dame, and now see if Stanford can regain its composure. Milburn on the return to the 29-yard line. Stanford will take over. Let's check in now with Jim Lampley.
All right, Tom, let's go back to Morgantown, West Virginia for another look at future Notre Dame opponent Boston College. After a West Virginia field goal tied it at 17, that Dwight Shirley 7-yard run has put BC back on top 24-17. They are in the fourth quarter. And in Atlanta, North Carolina State leads 13-10 over Georgia Tech in the third, but the Wolfpack have lost quarterback Terry Jordan, who had completed 41 of 49 passes before spraining a foot. Tom?
All right, Jim, it's 16-0 here. Remember, Notre Dame led 24-7 in 1990 here at Notre Dame Stadium before Stanford came back to win 36-31, knocking the Irish from first place in the poll. Stenstrom on a scramble. Gets it back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard beyond. Oliver Gibson and Demetrius DeVos right there to corral Stenstrom.
But Jeff Burris was the guy that once again bred the quick slant. Mike Cook came on the backside, and Steve Stenstrom tried to raise up and hit him, but Jeff Burris is almost inside the brain of Steve Stenstrom. He just jumped right in front of that play. I tell you, Jeff Burris is really playing a fine football game in that secondary.
Scored a touchdown a moment ago. Didn't even have a chance to catch his breath. He's right back out on the field. Play action pass from Stenstrom. Goes deep down the sideline. He's got a man wide open. It's Armour who can't hold on. Covington was closing the ground, but that's a catch Armour should have made.
You just don't get that many opportunities. Justin Armour got behind the zone defense. They were playing a two-deep secondary. You see him stick his arm out. He knows that he's open. John Covington giving chase. Those are painful, especially on national television.
Justin Armour out of Manitou Springs, Colorado, a suburb of Colorado Springs, had a storied high school career. He was a quarterback in high school, an All-American there. Did just about everything at his high school. That could have been 6 for the Cardinals. Stenstrom looking over the nickel defense. And that one dropped by Wetnight, the tight end. Pretty tough hit. Knocked the ball loose by John Covington.
Watch Wetnight. He makes a mistake here. You see him, number 86. He's moving, but you have to sit down. John Covington was just waiting. That is the mistake. That is what these young men have not understood in Bill Walsh's offense. That, yes, you have to move around in that zone defense, but when you find a hole, you have to stop. You have to sit down and allow the quarterback an opportunity to get your football. They're continuing to run sideways within that zone.
Beautiful punt by Stonehouse, taken by Miller, trying to get behind the wall of Blackers, and is wrestled out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Another good punt by Stonehouse. It covered 56 yards.
This is Grand Central Station, crossroads of the world, and this is the Pitney Bowes 9070 copier. What we're doing is letting people make free copies on a machine that has in excess of 1 million copies.
This is my best friend. I want to make a copy.
I know you want to make a copy. Come on over.
What do? I lift this up? Voila.
We're still here. It's a little warm, and the machine is still pumping out cool, crisp copies. We've run 1,013,643 copies and had a little gum on the flat glass, but I scraped that off. The machine is working great.
Families are big business, so everybody says theirs is a family car. All right, tell me it has 90 cubic feet of passenger space like a Subaru Legacy then. Enough room for 5 so you're close but not touching me close. Tell me it has a quiet, horizontally opposed engine like the Legacy. There's enough noise already with a family. Tell me it offers all-wheel drive and anti-lock brakes like a Legacy. A family car is for my family, not some other family I don't care so much about. Tell me I have the money. I want to know what to drive.
But don't forget, man, we're going to get them on a run. We're going to go.
In the Notre Dame tradition of excellence, a tribute to the legendary athletic accomplishment, the athletic department of the University of Notre Dame is proud to present its exclusive collection of sportswear and gift items. Merchandise of the highest quality design and available on a limited basis exclusively to the University of Notre Dame Department of Athletics. Call 1-800-345-5027 to receive a free catalog.
Steve Martin.
What a great day!
Rick Moranis. Stay out of trouble. The network television premiere. Live Blue Heaven, NBC Sunday.
59,000 fans in the seats, a lot of fans on the sideline. Mid-70s the temperature today, a beautiful afternoon in South Bend, Indiana. Some Golden Domers. Here's Notre Dame on a first down pass. Meyer has him wide open. That's Griggs. Griggs with a move. Ball's loose. And Stanford has it. Stanford recovers the fumble. They're bringing it back the other way. Twisting and turning is Darian Gordon. They knocked the ball loose from Griggs. Gordon picked it up and took it down the sideline for 36 yards. A disastrous turn of events for Meyer, who had Griggs wide open before he coughed it up, and Stanford now has the ball in Irish territory.
Well, for some reason, Von Bryant just completely dropped his coverage of Ray Griggs. Now you'll see at the very end of the play, Griggs with the fumble. And here we go the other way. Darian Gordon with a nice heads-up play. I tell you, that's the kind of plays that can get you back in a football game. Down 16-0. And it looked like all the momentum on the side of the Fighting Irish. But now a huge turn of events.
Griggs, the man that fumbled, getting a little encouragement from Lou Holtz. Faked him over, and Stenstrom looks across the middle, and a tough catch made by Mike Cook, or Justin Armour. It was Armour that didn't make the wide open catch a minute ago. Caught it in traffic for 18 yards.
Nice shot. This is what you really like to see in a quarterback. Justin Armour just dropped a big play, had a chance for a touchdown. They come right back to him, and Jeff Burris once again all over the football field, right in the face. But Justin Armour, sometimes when you get a little mad in a football game, you can come up with big plays like that. Happy to see him come back and make that nice catch.
First and goal from the 6. Stenstrom dodges one man. Threw it right into a crowd intended for Armour. Stenstrom did a good job evading Jermaine Holden, who was putting on the rush, but then got away with a dangerous pass with blue shirts all around it.
Ryan Wetnight had a chance for a touchdown. Steve Stenstrom was looking at him all the way. He got about 3 or 4 yards deep in the end zone, but then he never turned his head around. I don't know exactly what he was thinking about. If he had stopped, planted, come back to the quarterback, he would have fallen right in there for a touchdown.
Walsh trying to convert the turnover into 6 points. And timeout taken by Notre Dame. Demetrius DeBose saw something he didn't like, calls a timeout, and now comes to the sideline to confer with the coaching staff.
Tom, one thing that's a bit of a surprise is the fact that they have not, Notre Dame has not come with that blitz. Remember, DeBose on the very first play of the game came up with the big hit and the safety. We haven't seen them come back with that. I'm not exactly sure why.
Notre Dame has been very good defensively with their opponents in the so-called red zone. Opponents have been inside the Notre Dame 20-yard line 12 times this season, but have scored only 6.
him to come down, release in the end zone, and then just kind of drift here. And when he gets into the end zone, if he comes back to the quarterback, watch Steve Stenstrom look for him down the field. He could have very easily have had a touchdown. Come down, make the break, and now just kind of just starting to fade this way, which gives people a chance to break back on him. You see Stenstrom trying to find him, but he really didn't help his quarterback on that play.
So that'll bring up a 2nd and goal from the 6 for Steve Stenstrom out of El Toro, California. See, the defense can rally. As we pointed out, they have been good at this portion of the field so far this season. This Stanford scoring opportunity set up by a fumble recovery and return after what it appeared to be a big Notre Dame gain on a pass to Griggs.
Tom, you almost have to get the football in the hands of Glenn Milburn. He's your All-American candidate, and he has not had much of a chance so far this afternoon.
He's on a wing left and gets it on the end around with blockers in front. Milburn cuts up and scores.
Maybe that guy is a genius. Or he's listening to the broadcast. I'm not sure which. Nice call, though. Glenn Milburn in the slot. They had the man-to-man coverage and a very simple reverse. This is what you have to do against Notre Dame. You can't try and just beat them up and down the field. You're going to have to try and go outside, make them run from sideline to sideline. And when you've got a player like Glenn Milburn, you have to go ahead and try and use him as much as possible.
So Bill Walsh, after Milburn's touchdown, now must decide whether to go for 1 or 2, and has elected to go for 2. Milburn's out of the game. This will be Armour with a pass. The former quarterback throws it in a crowd incomplete. Pass intended for Tony Klein, one of the tight ends from Armour, who is a wide receiver but a high school quarterback, and the 2-point conversion attempt goes awry. But Stanford is on the scoreboard, taking a fumble in for 6 points, down by 10.
So how do you like this new car? I love it. I adore it. It's great. It's new. Nobody's spilled anything on the seats yet. The engine's new and running nice, but tell me, what's it going to be like when I've paid off the loan years later when my son's driving it? Tell me, because anyone can make a nice new car, but not a nice new car that's going to be a nice old car. Tell me like a Subaru Legacy. It has a horizontally opposed engine that can rack up the miles, an automatic transmission I can drive in first and not burn it out, that it's got tough bumpers like the Legacy and offers anti-lock brakes so I don't crash my new car so easily so it can become an old car. Tell me, I don't want a new car for a few years. I want to save money. I want to have money. Tell me, give me the facts. A fact like Subaru has it. 93% of all their cars registered in the last 10 years are still on the road today. Give me names. A name like Bill Sandstrom, who's driven his Subaru 330,000 miles. Stop talking news. Stop talking shiny. Start talking sense. Tell me, I got the money. I want to know what to drive.
This is Grand Central Station, crossroads of the world, and this is the Pitney Bowes 9070 copier. What we're doing is letting people make free copies on a machine that has in excess of 1 million copies.
This is my best friend. I want to make a copy.
I know you want to make a copy. Come on over.
What do I do? Do I lift this up? Voila.
We're still here. It's a little warm, and the machine is still pumping out cool, crisp copies. We've run 1,013,643 copies and had a little gum on the flat glass, but I scraped that off, and the machine is working great.
Today, a woman needs a life insurance plan of her own.
State Farm sells life insurance from an agent who's there for you today and there tomorrow, too. You see, we start you out right with a plan specifically designed for a woman's needs, one that protects the people who count on you for so very much. And a State Farm agent will be there tomorrow, too, as your life changes, to keep that plan working for the people you love.
State Farm sells life insurance.
Troy Dorsey, a non-stop punching machine. This former champion's tough trail back now goes through his opponent's hometown. Jesse James Leha, one of the best prospects in the ring today. Dorsey battles Leha, two tough Texans in a Lone Star showdown. Today on NBC.
8:54 left in the second quarter, 16-6 Notre Dame as Stanford will kick off. Here's Mills with the kick. Good kick. Beckton has it bounce off his pads and out of bounds at the 11-yard line.
sideline, and John Dockery.
Tom, you can see Tom Lynch behind me, John Lynch, I'm sorry, walking up and down the sideline. He's got his helmet on. I just spoke to him. He said he feels better. He's going back in. At least he wants to go back in. The problem was that he was woozy. He was somewhat dizzy. They were checking him for that, but there was absolutely no concussion. I want to clear that up. He wants to go back and play. It's up to the coaches and the doctors right now. But he's got his helmet on, and as I said before, a critical component to that Stanford defense. Back to you.
All right, Doc. Lynch, the senior from Solano Beach, California, has an interception, the fourth leading tackler on this team, but still on the sideline on this Notre Dame first down play. Last 4 possessions, Notre Dame has been backed up in its own territory. Brooks tries to get him out and falls forward for 6 yards. Reggie Brooks on the carry for Notre Dame. Let's go to New York for a college football update. Jim, what do you have?
I'll take you on another trip to Morgantown, West Virginia, where West Virginia has struck back. Adrian Morrell, leading rusher in the Big East with a 34-yard run here. Well over 100 yards for the game. Second TD of the day. Ties it up at 24 apiece. They played a 31-24 game last year, won by West Virginia, and they're on pace for the same number this year in Morgantown. Tom Hammond.
All right, Jim, I never saw anyone so anxious to get to Morgantown today, but looks like they have a pretty good one going there. Tie game.
They take their football seriously down there, though. There is nothing else happening on a Saturday afternoon in Morgantown.
Brooks on his second consecutive carry picks up an Irish first down. That's what he's done on the afternoon, coming off a 200-yard plus performance against the Boilermakers at Purdue in the rain here last week.
Just an 8-yard per carry average today. He's having a bad day.
Yeah, that's below his 10-yard a carry average on the season. But the game is young. Clint Johnson and Mike Miller, wide receivers, both set right. High formation in the backfield. That's Miller in motion. Meyer pumps once, goes long, intended for Miller, who can't chase it down. Miller, maybe the fastest man on the Irish team, was streaking downfield. Meyer's pass a little too long.
You're exactly right, Tom. If Mike Miller can't get it, it can't be had. All the man-to-man coverage that Stanford is playing, you see Notre Dame come out now with a few trick plays of their own. That was an out and up. Miller was clearly behind his man. Rick Meyer just a little bit long. Once again, remember he had to play earlier. They had a chance for a big play, and he overthrew that one as well.
Miller, the young man that left the Irish team last year, enrolled at the University of Houston, though he never played football, reconsidered and rejoined the Irish this season. Meyer, center screen intended for Brooks. That one never had a chance to develop. The Cardinal defense was all over it.
Nice play by Dave Garnett, number 42 of Stanford. He's been a 4-year starter for the Cardinal, a 2-time All-Academic Pac-10, plays virtually every down, was second on the team in tackles last season, third in 1996 and 1989. His father, David Garrett, was a running back with the Raiders in 1971. His brother, Kevin's a defensive back on this Cardinal team today.
Garnett out of Naperville, Illinois, not far from home. Meyer's pass, again, is incomplete, intended for tight end Irv Smith. And Rick Meyer now has hit only 4 of 14 passes today. Garnett and Whitman on the coverage as Meyer shakes his head after yet another incompletion. It has not been a good day passing.
Fred Von Apen, the defensive coordinator for Stanford, said that in my defense, you have to be able to manage the running game. They can throw as much as they want against my defense. I don't care. I'll take my chances with Von Bryant and Darian Gordon on the corners playing man-to-man coverage, but we have to be able to stop the run. And so far, Stanford's done a pretty decent job of it.
Kendrick to punt. Glenn Milburn lets it bounce, and it will bound out of bounds at about the 43-yard line of Stanford. Only a 37-yard punt by Hendrick, who told us he both place kicks and punts, but that he probably was more consistent punting the football than he was place kicking. He started kicking as a 5-year-old with his dad in the backyard. They kicked over a soccer goal, which served as the goalpost, and he started 5 years old. Got a lot of experience under your belt. He hopes to be plying his trade in the NFL next season.
And he worked with a sports psychologist. That's the part that I like. Who taught him self-hypnosis. He says there's a key word that he says every time before he kicks. I said, what is it? I can't tell you.
I think he forgot it that time. First down for Stanford with new life, converting the turnover into some points. There's a pass drilled in and complete to Cook. That's a gain of about 7 yards.
That was a nice job by Mike Cook. That's the first time all day that I've seen a Stanford receiver do his job on a zone defense. He simply found himself in a hole, and he didn't budge. He had to wait 2 or 3 seconds for Stenstrom to deliver the football, but he did his job, even worked back to the quarterback. Nice play by Mike Cook.
Stenstrom has hit 9 of 15 for 90 yards. Bill Walsh saying that his entire offense is in at Stanford, the same offense he used with the 49ers. Roberts straight ahead, close to the first down, and he said that 49er offense, as complicated as it might be, is all intact with Stanford, and they understand it as well as the pros did, maybe better.
You know, one of the things about that offense, I ran the same offense with Sam Leitch in Cincinnati, is that it's really not all that complicated. They have a few base plays that they like to run, but what makes it look confusing is all the motion. He'll change up, he'll have one play and 10 different ways to run it with motion or different formations or whatever, and that's part of the genius, if you will, I hate to keep using that word, of Bill Walsh, because he keeps it simple and yet it looks complicated to the defense.
Heavy load formation. Bucky, the second tight end. Olsen in the backfield to block as Roberts carries for a gain of 1 or 2. Not much after the previous carry by Roberts had netted a Stanford first down. Jim Flanagan, the nose tackle, made the stop. Flanagan's dad, Jim, who played at Pitt and then 4 years as a linebacker with the Green Bay Packers, and told us his dad didn't put any pressure on him, though, to try to go to Pitt. And he really didn't remember much about the Packers because his dad had retired when Jim was only 1 or 2 years old.
Boy, and he's bounced around. He's gone from linebacker to defensive line to linebacker, now back to defensive line, finally settling in there and is doing a nice job.
To Milburn, Stenstrom's in trouble, and he's tripped up by Flanagan. Flanagan and Hamilton were all over Stenstrom that time. And there's 44, Jim Flanagan.
Jim Flanagan told us that with all the movement back and forth from linebacker to defensive line, he kept having to gain weight, then lose weight, then gain weight, and lose weight. You see him make a nice tackle. It's a trip as he tripped up Steve Stenstrom. But the last time he was a linebacker and had to go back to defensive line, he had to gain about 30 or 40 pounds. Said his dad kept sending all these care packages of red meat. He had barbecues all summer long and got back up to 270.
Flanagan's brother Brian is a high school senior being recruited by Notre Dame. Stenstrom is sacked. McGill wrestles Stenstrom down with a big defensive play for the Irish.
Carmelia McGill, if you're wondering about the first name, it means God in his Islamic faith. He said that he was worried when he came to Notre Dame as to whether or not he would be allowed to practice that faith, but he said the coaches have been very good about it, that anytime there is an Islamic event, he's allowed to leave practice or whatever and go there, but as a sign of team unity, he does attend the Catholic Mass with the rest of the team.
Third sack of the day for the Irish defense. Here's the punt by Stonehouse. Boy, he's got another good one away, but it reaches the end zone on the fly. No return of that one. It'll come out to the 20 on the touchback. A 54-yard punt by Stonehouse. Notre Dame's ball when we return.
Tastes like a beer, cause it should, cause it's brewed like a beer. Of course it's good. Working out or working late, cause it's brewed like a beer. Of course it's good. Working out or working late, when you're thirsting for a break, let's be perfectly clear. It's what beer drinkers drink when they're not drinking beer. O'Doul's.
O'Doul's, the brew from Anheuser-Busch, with the alcohol naturally removed for real beer taste and only 70 calories.
Anytime, anywhere, it's what beer drinkers drink when they're not drinking beer. O'Doul's.
A test drive, 6 miles on smooth roads. If I was only driving 6 miles on smooth roads, I'd buy a bike. I'd get in shape. Let me test drive in rush hour traffic so I can see if it'll last like a Subaru. Let me test drive it to snowy Alaska so I can see if it has all-wheel drive like a Legacy. Don't take me around the block. Let's get it to 50 and slam the brakes so I can see if it offers anti-lock brakes like a Legacy. Test drives aren't real. What's real is the money I'm spending. Show me. Tell me. I have the money. I want to know what to drive.
Tonight, a young boy's secret passion is exposed.
You're the one taking ballet.
And Malcolm Jamal Warner is leaping to the rescue on Here and Now. Then, on Out All Night, the guy who never grew up has become a role model.
Can I be your little brother? I think I'm gonna cry.
NBC Comedy Tonight.
Steve Martin.
What a great day!
Rick Moranis. Stay out of trouble. The network television premiere. Live Blue Heaven, NBC Sunday.
Famed Golden Dome at the University of Notre Dame. At one time, that administration building housed the entire university. As you take a look from the Goodyear blimp, Captain Larry Chambers on the Goodyear blimp Stars and Stripes. For 30 years, the Goodyear blimps have been a part of televising college football. And back down to the house that Rockne built. Sold out today for the 103rd consecutive time. John Lynch, the outstanding safety of Stanford, back on the field as Brooks bursts free. Reggie Brooks, ripping off yardage in chunks, is across the 35-yard line for a gain of 17, and now is up to 77 yards on the day. Ron George finally chased him down.
Boy, I tell you, give credit to the Notre Dame offensive line. That left side, Lindsey Knapp, Aaron Taylor, Tim Ruddy, the center. They're playing an 8-man front almost exclusively today, and they're still blowing holes in it.
Bettis straight ahead. Bettis short of the 40. Let's check in again with John Dockery. Doc?
Tom, I don't know if you can see it, but Lake Dawson is right on the sidelines. He's dying to get back in the game. He was catching passes along the sidelines, but every time he raised his hands, he'd lose some of his breath, and he's in tremendous pain, but he's dying to play. And, of course, Mike Miller isn't exactly getting the job done for the Irish, so Lake Dawson is critical.
There's Dawson, number 87. He dropped out of school for personal and academic reasons last year. Went home to Federal Way, Washington, the Seattle area. Tried to duck his friends who questioned him why he wasn't at Notre Dame. There's an option play, and Meyer pitches to Brooks. Brooks surrounded and hauled down after a gain of 3 by John Lynch. You see how valuable Lynch is. And just to continue with the Lake Dawson story, his friends were bothering him, getting on him why he wasn't back in school. And to show you how much his teammates cared for him, they paid his way to come back to South Bend for the spring game, the blue gold game. He knew then he belonged here and back in an Irish uniform this season.
He also said that all his friends were working in the steel mill, and it didn't look like quite as attractive a life as what he had here in South Bend, and decided to come on back.
3rd and 3, the option to the other side. Becton has the carry and the first down. Stopped at the 49-yard line, just tripped up there by John Lynch, who made the tackle on the left side of the defense a moment ago. Now goes to the right side to trip up Becton.
So many people have questioned Lou Holtz and his decision to keep Rick Mirer running this option game. But what we have seen out of Notre Dame this year is that is probably their most valuable play. They have 2 or 3 different ways of running it. A lead option, a trap option, and just a straight dive option. There you see the first part of that option play, the straight handoff. But that's what sets it up, because after you keep banging Bettis in there time after time after time, eventually that defense has to converge, and now Rick Mirer and Reggie Brooks has a chance to bounce it around the corner.
Stanford only allowing an average of 202 yards offense a game to their opponents already. Here in the first half, Notre Dame has amassed 240 yards. Minute 40 left in the half and counting, and Notre Dame leading 16-6. Meyer may be changing the play here, and he fumbles the snap. And a flag down as one of the Stanford players perhaps piled on after the play had been whistled dead. That would be a costly mental error by the Cardinal here in the closing minutes of the first half.
Dead ball, personal foul.
And that's what it is. John Salphy, the referee from the Big East, part of this split Big East Pac-10 crew with the call.
And that makes you crazy if you're Bill Walsh. You've got him in a 3rd down and 8 situation after the fumble. Watch Tyrone Parker, number 60. You're not going to be able to see it in this shot, but it looked like right at the end of the play, he came in and pushed somebody from behind, Just a stupid play. You've got a chance to shut them down. I take that back. That's Sayon Albert, number 16, if I saw the number correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right. 16.
And that makes coaches crazy. That's one of those things that I guarantee in the post-game press conference, that'll be one of the first things discussed.
A minute 16 on the clock, first half. 16-6 Notre Dame. Play action pass. Meyer threw it behind Becton, the intended receiver. Behind him and too high. And another incomplete pass as Meyer continues to struggle. He's only 4 of 15.
They're down almost in field goal range now. There's a minute 11 to go in the first half. Notre Dame has 1 timeout remaining. You want to do 2 things in this situation. One, you want to try and get points on the board, whether it be a touchdown or a field goal, but you also don't want to give the Stanford offense a chance to go back the other way. So Lou will try and milk a little bit of this clock and also move it on down to try and pick up. Oops.
Meyer with a quick pass before Pollard, the intended receiver, had even turned around. In fact, Pollard was well on his way to getting behind the defense if Meyer could have waited a couple of counts.
Part of what's happening here is that with Lake Dawson out of the game, Rick Meyer really does not seem to be nearly as comfortable in throwing the football. Their timing has been off all day. 4 of 16. One of the deceiving parts about those numbers, though, is that 3 of the completions were on key third down situations that kept drives alive, but clearly not a good afternoon for Rick Meyer thus far.
There's Dawson on the sideline on this key third down play. Meyer steps up and lost for the end zone. Johnson couldn't hold on. Darian Gordon covering Clint Johnson on the play.
And it's not all Rick Meyer. Let's give some credit to these defensive backs. Darian Gordon, the best corner on Stanford's team, right there, stride for stride with Clint Johnson, had a chance to make the diving catch. You see their feet got a little tangled up, but that is not pass interference because Darian Gordon was looking back, trying to pick up the football. You see Lou Holtz, he doesn't even argue the call. And now Lou Holtz going for it on 4th and 10.
4th and 10. Lake Dawson would normally be the man they look for. He's not in the game. Meyer rolls right, throws left for the end zone. Incomplete, intended for Adrian Gerald. So the ball will go over with 55 seconds left in the first half. And the passing lane out of sync, perhaps because of the injury to Lake Dawson.
Tom, that is about the 4th or 5th pass with wide open receivers that we have seen Rick Meyer overthrow this afternoon. You know, a lot of times you work with a particular receiver the way that he does with Lake Dawson, and time after time after time, and you get the timing of those patterns down, and it just doesn't look like Rick is nearly as comfortable throwing to the other receivers. But now Stanford with an opportunity, 55 seconds, 2 timeouts to try and get something on the board for them.
Stenstrom, short completion and dropped by J.J. Lashley. Lashley dropping the football, hit him right in the chest. Stay with us at halftime. Jim Lampley in New York will have all the scores and highlights to update you on this busy Saturday afternoon in college football. We'll give you the latest on that Miami-Florida State matchup. Second down play with 51 seconds left. Notre Dame leading by 10 points. Well, Lashley dropped another. There's Lynch, the safety of the Cardinal, getting an early trip to the locker room. He's been woozy, but has made some key plays for the defense of the Cardinal.
I think J.J. Lashley would like to go with him.
Yeah,
that's 2 in a row, and he's a pretty good receiver. He came into this ball game with 14 catches on the year, 115 yards and a touchdown, but that has to be frustrating for Bill Walsh. He had 2 perfectly called plays, and they're both drops.
Now it's 3rd down. They're going to run it to Milburn. Milburn, following his blockers, ducks to the outside. Finally is tackled at the 46-yard line. That'll be a Stanford first down. Jeff Burris finally cutting the legs from beneath Glenn Milburn.
And a mistake by Glenn Milburn at the end of the play. He really needed to get that ball out of bounds. They're going to have to take a timeout now, is Stanford. to get everything reset. Maybe not. There's a first down, so the clock stopped, and they do have an opportunity to get back. But Milburn, a very, very intelligent young man, had his bit with politics at Stanford University, but he should have gotten out of bounds there.
2 timeouts remaining for the Cardinals. Stenstrom is sacked for the 4th time today. This time it's Bryant Young that gets the Stanford quarterback, and Walsh will take the timeout, stopping the clock with 21 seconds.
Bryant Young is really starting to play the way that they expected him to play around here. Last week he led the team with 7 tackles, 3 of those for losses against Purdue, and you see him, once he gets in the open field, he's every bit the athlete that Steve Stenstrom is, who really is not that mobile a quarterback. Last year he had a negative 111 yards rushing. This year already minus 73. And I guarantee you, in a foot race, Bryant Young probably wins.
all 270 pounds?
Especially if he's chasing you. You know what I mean? That's a big man. Now you have 2nd down and 1,000,000, 2nd down and 17. 21 seconds to go. Don't be surprised if they come up with an incomplete pass here, that maybe Lou Holtz tries to burn one of those timeouts and get the football back for himself. Bill Walsh not wanting to make the big mistake now. Wouldn't be surprised to see him just run a draw or a very, very safe pass. You don't want to go in any more than 10 points down. Really, Notre Dame has thoroughly outplayed Stanford here in the first half, and to be down just 10 is not a bad spot for Bill Walsh.
Stenstrom completes it. No. Attempted lateral back to Milburn, and has Notre Dame recovered the fumble? Will it be a complete pass and a fumble? Let's wait for the ruling.
I believe what you're going to have is a completed pass and then an illegal forward pass that was clearly a forward lateral. The fumble should count if they consider it a completed pass.
So illegal forward pass. We have a completed catch first, then we have an illegal forward pass with a 5-yard penalty, and it'll be lost to down. Okay?
So Mike Cook made the catch, tried to lateral it back to Milburn, but it was a forward lateral, an incomplete, or rather an illegal forward pass.
Now wait a minute. Now what about where here do they say that this isn't a fumble? How is that not a fumble? Why did the play end before the lateral? That just doesn't make any sense. Oh, wait a minute. Why is this not a fumble? Watch the play. Here the play is clearly still going. That's the play doesn't end with the forward lateral. That doesn't stop the play. I think the officials have just flat out blown this one. That would have been Notre Dame's ball on about the 45-yard line with 13 seconds to go.
Instead, it's 3rd and 17 for Stanford. Play it safe with a handoff to Milburn. Twists his way to the 47-yard line of Notre Dame as the clock to 5 seconds, now 4 as Walsh uses his final timeout. Time left for one play, barring a penalty.
Tom, unless there's a rule that I don't know about, and that's always possible, you know that, why in the world does the play stop when you make a forward lateral? Sure, that's an illegal play. I'm surprised that Lou Holtz really isn't arguing the call, and I don't know, maybe there is something that I don't know. We'll try and get a further explanation on that at halftime.
It's like an incomplete illegal pass. Once the forward illegal pass hits the ground, then it's like incomplete.
Yeah, maybe, but I just don't think that's true. A forward lateral is just that. It's a forward lateral, and the play ends when the whistle blows. Why it would stop on the forward lateral,
it's an illegal forward pass, an illegal forward pass which was incomplete. So the ball's dead and the penalty assessed. That's the way I read it.
Yeah, maybe you're a genius.
No, I've been called a lot of things lately, but that wasn't one of them.
Maybe that is the ruling, but it just seems, I mean, what would distinguish that from a fumble?
An illegal forward pass. The forward pass incomplete. Clock stops, ball dead.
That's a weird rule if that's the rule. Not saying that you're weird, but that's a weird rule.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. Maybe you're right. You're right about 99% of the time. Mr. Perfect, you know, you are perfect. You have, you've got that nice matching tie and little hanky in your pocket. And you seem to know everything. have enough trouble trying to find matching socks. And it was right with you, and evidently Lou Holtz agrees with you because he didn't put up much of a fight.
Well, Walsh is going to try one play, and barring a penalty on the defense, this will be the final action of the half. And Stenstrom trying for the end zone is going to come up short. Almost tapped, but it wouldn't have made any difference because that was going to be the last play of the half regardless. Well, Stenstrom and the Cardinal have had their ups and downs in the first half. They fell behind immediately 9-0, then 16-0. But a fumble recovery resulted in their only 6 points, and Bill Walsh is with John Dockery.
Coach, if you were back in the role of TV analyst, what would you say about the first half?
Well, we're out. Stanford's outmanned, no question about that. They're outgunned, but the effort level of Stanford is excellent. And Stanford's mishandling the ball. We had 4 or 5 occasions we fumbled or dropped passes, and you can't do that against a superior team.
Any modifications, adjustments, jumping your head at the net right now?
No, we know they're going to run it down our throat in the second half. We're just going to have to catch the ball and hold on to it.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, John, a pretty concise and accurate analysis from the former broadcaster Bill Walsh, who finds his Cardinal team trailing by 10 at 16-6 at halftime here at Notre Dame. Let's go to Jim Lamplin.
All right, thanks a lot, Tom. Coming up at halftime, we will show you scores and highlights of a variety of interesting and exciting games involving teams in the top 25 today, and a look back at what's happened in the first half of Stanford Notre Dame. All that upcoming as we bring you to New York. Possible upset for you. Miami still waiting to convert and knotted up 16-16 with Florida State. They just knocked it through. 16 with Florida State. They just knocked it through. So put Miami ahead 17-16 with about 7 minutes to go in the Orange Bowl. And now let's go back to South Bend and Hannah Storm. Hannah.
Thanks, Jim. Well, as you recall, and as all the fans do here, Notre Dame in their second game of the season and first home game tied Michigan. But their hopes for a national championship are still very much alive. All Lou Holtz has to do is point his squad towards that 1977 team. Back in '77, the Irish lost their second game of the season to Mississippi, but then they went on to win 10 straight and a national title. 1977 was the year of the Trojan horse, when the Irish came out for kickoff against USC, sporting green jerseys instead of their traditional blue. 1977, also the junior year of Joe Montana, who led the Irish to a 30-point victory that day. In that season's Cotton Bowl, the Irish took on Texas, the nation's only undefeated team. Bob Golick and the Notre Dame defense made Earl Campbell's Longhorns battle for every yard. Notre Dame forced 6 turnovers. And Vegas Ferguson scored 3 touchdowns to lead the Irish to the upset and the national championship. It is the 15th anniversary of that team, and I know these two gentlemen find that hard to believe. Willie Fry and Ken McAfee join us here. They were among the members of that team honored at halftime. And Willie, I've got to ask you, look at what happened to this team against Michigan. What happened to you guys against Missouri? Can a loss or some sort of adversity like that be a positive factor later in the season?
There's no question in my mind that can be a positive factor. In fact, I see a tremendous parallel in their Michigan tie and our Ole Miss loss. That served to be a wake-up call for us in '77, and I think the same thing can occur here.
So perhaps they will treat it much as you did that Mississippi game. All right, and Ken, I have to ask you, you left Notre Dame and then played for Bill Walsh. His team is down by 10 at halftime here. What do you think's going on in the locker room?
I think he's pretty satisfied just to be down by 10. He's probably trying to rally his troops and say, hey, we got away with them. They had some turnovers that cost them in the first half, but I'm sure what kind of coach he is, he's rallying his troops and getting ready for the second half.
Willie, what are your emotions as you revisit Notre Dame Stadium?
Well, it's always nice to come back and be remembered. And the longer you stay away from the university environment, the more you realize how special the experience was. So I think that that's the most important factor for me.
It seems like every year Notre Dame comes in with a possibility of having a championship team. But what was it that made your team so special that they went all the way and won the title?
Well, I think it's a combination of our coaching and our players that we had. We were committed to excellence. As freshmen coming in, Willie, myself, and our senior class, we're committed to winning a national championship, and that was our last opportunity to do it. So we rallied behind the loss, as Willie said, against Ole Miss, and went on from there.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Enjoy the second half. Let's send it back up to Tom and Chris.
Okay, Hannah. Chris, we can get you one of these little deals if you'd like one. But are you set? Are you set now on the illegal forward pass?
Once again, you are exactly right. The rule is that if the intent of Mike Cook on that play was to throw the ball, then it is not a fumble. It is simply an incomplete pass. So once again, the referees are exactly right, and I am exactly wrong. Watch Mike Cook. He catches the ball. Now they've got the flea flicker play. Clearly, that was not a fumble. The intent was to throw it to Glenn Milburn. Good call by the officials.
Well, as you know, Notre Dame took command of the game early. A safety on Stanford's first play from scrimmage after Demetrius DeVos sacked Steve Stenstrom, and Notre Dame recovered the ball, Stanford recovered the ball in the end zone. And then Notre Dame marched down the field, and the option play paid some dividends for them.
Yeah, it really did. We have a chance, I believe, here to get to draw this play up. Ron George here was really left on an island having to try and protect. They had man-to-man coverage on the outside. They just run these people off. They come down the line, and there's nobody to cover Reggie Brooks. Ordinarily, this man would do it. You'll see Ron George left all by himself on the left defensive side of the field. An easy touchdown for Brooks.
So Brooks walks in for the touchdown. That put Notre Dame up 9-0 in the first 3 minutes of the football game. They went up 16-0 before Stanford converted a turnover into 6 points. That's where we stand now, 16-6 Notre Dame as Stanford kicks off to open the second half. And the ball down to the end zone. That will be a touchback, and the Irish will take over at their own 20. Here are the first half stats. You see that Notre Dame rushing for 143 yards and 232 yards of total offense. That's more than Stanford normally allows in an entire game.
But really the key in the first half was Stanford's ability to hold Rick Meyer and Notre Dame to just 89 yards in the air. They've had some success running the football. Bill Walsh knew they were going to have that kind of success, but really Rick Meyer has missed some opportunities for big plays, or else this score could be much worse.
Meyer has misfired on his last 7 passes, incomplete on his last 7 attempts. Here's a pitch to Bettis to open the second half. Bettis fumbles and Stanford recovers. John Lynch, the man we've been talking about all day, was the man that shook the football loose. And there's Lynch, number 17. A vicious hit on Bettis. The ball came free, and nothing but white jerseys around it.
What a ball game that John Lynch is having. This young man, when you take on a 250-pound fullback like that and can knock him backwards and cause a fumble, that is just outstanding play. I tell you, we're seeing John Lynch make a big move for all Pac-10 honors here today.
Lynch woozy much of the first half. Spent some time on the sideline, but has made some key plays. Now Stanford tries to take advantage of it. Stenstrom's pass complete. First down strike to Mike Cook. Covered by Greg Lane, knocked out of bounds.
Bill Walsh could not have asked for a better scenario to open this second half. If he can get a quick touchdown on the board here, possibly go for 2, he can be within 2 points of Lou Holt's Fighting Irish team.
Cook with his 4th reception of the day. And Stanford with 2nd and about 2 yards to go. Inside the 15 of Notre Dame. They reposition the football closer to the 14-yard line. Between the 13 and 14, actually. Jerome Bettis fumbling for Notre Dame. Stanford recovers and trying to take it in for some more points. They're down by 10, 16-6.
Notre Dame has not been scored upon in the 3rd quarter. Stanford knocking at the door.
Notre Dame has outscored opponents 43-0 in the 3rd quarter. Milburn bounces to the outside, has the first down. Inside the 10, down to the 8-yard line of the Irish, where he's hit by Tom Carter. Nick Smith also in on the tackle, but Milburn hit in the hole, then bounced it to the outside and picked up the Stanford first down.
Don't forget the last time that Stanford was down in the red zone against Notre Dame, they came up with a fumble. I believe it was Ellery Roberts that fumbled the ball away. That Stanford really could have gone in at halftime, 16-14, but another big opportunity for the Cardinal.
First and goal for the Cardinal. Stenstrom. The pass complete for the touchdown. Justin Armour with the reception, and Stanford converts the Notre Dame football. Fumbled into the deep territory for another 6 points. That's 12 points now. Stanford has scored off Notre Dame turnovers.
See if they're going to go for the two-point conversion. They have the kicker on the field, Eric Abrams. I guess he's going to be satisfied to be down just 3 points. That was nice play action. They came right out on first down, didn't try and challenge the middle of the Notre Dame defense. Play action right off the bat for the easy touchdown. Abrams, left-footed kicker. Snap is high, but Bird gets it down, and the kick is good. So Stenstrom to Armour for the Stanford touchdown, and the score now 16-13.
This isn't your typical car commercial. There's no beautiful scenery, no winding roads. Hey, there's not even a car. But there is news. Geo is lowering prices on the Metro Coupe, sedan, and the XFI. So now the car that gets the highest gas mileage in America also has one of the lowest prices, which is pretty beautiful, even without pictures. Get to know Geo Metro at your Chevrolet Geo dealers.
When you don't have to send your package overnight, you can save yourself a bundle.
What a difference a day makes.
2-day priority mail service
24 little hours.
from your post office. Send up to 2 pounds in just 2 days for just $2.90. That's right. That's some difference.
What a difference a day makes. We deliver for you.
There are 2 people who can raise your income and lower your taxes right now. You and your financial advisor. Call and find out how you can increase your spendable income with Nuveen tax-free mutual funds.
When your sinuses are closing in on you, what you need is a sinus spray like Sinex. Only Sinex adds Vicks vapors to its decongestant, so at last you can feel your sinuses open up. For sinus, think Sinex.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, Chevrolet, and your local Chevy dealer. By O'Doul's from the makers of Budweiser, refreshing beer taste without the alcohol. And by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Back at Notre Dame Stadium, the Stanford kickoff after they narrow the margin to only 3. Johnson lets it bounce in the end zone and downs it there for the touchback. Let's go back to the Stanford touchdown.
Tom, you'll see Justin Armour right here on your screen is in man-to-man coverage with Tom Carter. Tom Carter's trying to disguise his coverage to make it look like a zone, but you'll see Armour weave his way through, and Carter's going to run into his own men on the field. And that resulted in a touchdown. Nice throw by Steve Stenstrom.
Took only 3 plays to convert the Bettis fumble into 6 points. The extra point made it a 3-point game. Brooks. There's John Lynch again. Lynch is the man that grabs Reggie Brooks and hauls him down. What a game John Lynch is having. Let's go down to John Dockery for an injury update.
And Tom, some very important happenings in the offense for Notre Dame. You saw Lake Dawson's back in the game. He tried it on the sidelines. He has a lot of pain in that bruised rib area. Also, Reggie Brooks has a pulled groin muscle. He's not at top speed, but he's trying it right now.
Carried that last time. Here's Meyer with a pass. And it's too tall for Clint Johnson, the intended receiver. That's 8 straight incomplete passes by Rick Meyer.
And I was watching Reggie Brooks on that play. I can tell you it's his right groin. He's really dragging that leg around. So now you're talking about some major blows to this offense. One, Lake Dawson has been out of the game. You see him back in the picture here. He's trying to make the best of it. Reggie Brooks trying to make the best of it. But really the story for Notre Dame right now is the poor day by Rick Meyer. He simply cannot find his receivers.
This is a Lake Dawson type play. He's in the game wide right. Meyer, though, looks left and delivers it to Griggs. Griggs knocked back. He could be close to the first down. Let's see where they spot it. It'll be across the 30, and that will be a Notre Dame first down.
I don't know, Tom. That the one referee marked it over the 30. Now they're moving it back. Yes, you're exactly right. Boy, they had about 2 or 3 different marks on that ball, but they do give him his forward progress. Let's see if we can pick it up now. Did he get over the 30-yard line because they started on the 20 after the touchback? Did the ball get over the line? Boy, that's a tight call, but it looked like it did.
That's
It's a pretty generous spot. Notre Dame first down. Here's a play-action pass. Meyer has Irv Smith wide open, and Smith tightropes down the sideline for another Irish first down to the 44-yard line, where he's knocked out by Coy Gibbs.
I really like that call by Lou Holtz. They've been having some trouble against that 8-man front, running the ball on first down, so they come out with the play action, just dump it off to a great tight end in Irv Smith. He hasn't caught many passes so far this year, but good job by Lou Holtz. It appears that now he is opening up this offense a bit.
First catch of the day for Smith, his 7th reception on the season. That's second on the list of top Irish receivers. Fake to Brooks. Meyer sacked. Rick Meyer taken down all the way back to the 35-yard line as Stanford comes up with the first sack of the day.
Great play by number 60, Tyrone Parker. Rick Meyer wanted to try and break contain on that play, get outside the defense. You'll see number 60 with his contain. That was his job. He was on a stunt moving to the outside. Then Dave Garnett comes along on the backside, because they really don't block Garnett on the backside of that play, feeling that Meyer could get all the way to the outside of the defense. Tyrone Parker made the great play in stopping Meyer.
Cardinal with the first sack today for the Stanford defense. Meyer throws it across the middle. It might have been an intended middle screen. In any event, the reception is good for short yardage to Mike Miller, with Vaughn Bryant draped all over him.
Tom, that's not a good play against man-to-man coverage. Vaughn Bryant had Mike Miller covered man-to-man on the play. Ordinarily, what you want to see is the entire offense move down the field, and then you slip the wide receiver underneath. But that doesn't work when you're in man-to-man coverage. Vaughn Bryant just stayed right with him, made the easy tackle.
Sets up a 3rd and 15 for the Irish.
You have to be careful if you're Notre Dame here. You only have the 3-point lead to work with. Don't want the turnover deep in your own zone.
Stanford shows blitz, and they come. It leaves Bettis wide open. Bettis bounces off tacklers and has the first down, spinning, fumbles the ball, and Stanford recovers. Bettis fumbles for the 2nd time this quarter, and Vaughn Bryant recovers for Stanford.
Tom, sometimes you can just try to do too much. When you're playing against a defense like this Stanford Cardinal defense, he catches the ball. Now he's going to break a couple of tackles, but now he'll get completely turned around and lose his sense of where he is. And you'll see from the backside, he'll get hit. He just completely lost track of the defense. That was Darian Gordon coming up and putting his hat right on the ball. Vaughn Bryant falling on it. Another big play by this Stanford defense.
Bettis twisting and turning, trying to get more yardage with his 2nd fumble of the quarter, and Stanford takes over on its own 35-yard line, trailing by 3. Milburn squirts forward across the 35, got about 3 yards before Anthony Peterson tackles him with help from Bryant Young.
Notre Dame starting to give Stanford a dose of their own medicine, as you see Jerome Bettis. He's a very competitive young man, and boy, when you lay 2 of them on the ground in a row in a close football game like this, that is a painful situation. But Notre Dame's defense now on first down coming out in that 8-man front as well. They want to see Stanford put the ball up. A little more challenging on the defensive side for Notre Dame now.
Stenstrom finds his target, Cook. And Cook into Irish territory, a first down at the Notre Dame 45-yard line. Gain of 17 yards, the 5th catch of the day for Mike Cook.
And he's working against Greg Lane, number 33, who's had a pretty good year for the Fighting Irish this year. But now you're starting to see the full effect of Bill Walsh's offense. They can drive you crazy. They hit the dive play up in there on first down, come back with the play-action pass. They're starting to hit on all cylinders.
Play-action pass on first down. Stenstrom has to scramble and then throws it complete to Lashley, who is across the 40 down to the 39-yard line, tackled by Bryant Young. Well, all this week, Bill Walsh kept telling his team and showing them the films of last year's Tennessee win over Notre Dame here at Notre Dame Stadium, in which the Volunteers, seemingly hopelessly beaten at halftime, came back to get the win. So he pointed out to his team, even if you're down in intermission, you can come back and do it. And it's the Cardinal, off the 2 Bettis fumbles, that have the momentum here.
Stenstrom's pass incomplete. He felt the pressure, and McGill was coming at him, so was DeBose, and the pass by Stenstrom wide of the target.
Well, that just goes to show what a great athlete Demetrius DeBose is. Glenn Milburn, one of the quickest players in the country, was simply left one-on-one with Demetrius DeBose, and you just get the feeling that Rick Minner, the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, doesn't mind that matchup. That DeBose, as great an athlete as he is, can stay even with Glenn Milburn.
3rd and 3 for the Stanford Cardinal. Stenstrom will pass for it. Under pressure, is sacked by Peterson.
Anthony Peterson says that before the games, he just sits and closes his eyes and dreams of making big plays. Well, keep your eye on number 49 here. He does exactly that. Right up the gut. Nobody blocks him. It was a delayed blitz. Stenstrom tried to get rid of the football late, but Peterson right in his face, and that was exactly what Lou Holtz needed out of his defense. His offense had turned it over twice in a row. He had to have a defensive stand, and he got it.
Stonehouse to punt. He's done a great job punting today. Miller, the deep man for the Irish. Stonehouse sees it bounce in the 5 to the 1. Did they save it? No, touchback. Notre Dame will get it at the 20. Stanford argues its case to no avail. Stenstrom took another hit. Irish ball when we come back.
The presidential candidate on the left stood for military action in the Persian Gulf, while the candidate on the right agreed with those who opposed it. He says he wouldn't rule out term limits, while he says he's personally opposed to term limits. This candidate was called up for military service, while this one claims he wasn't. One of these candidates is Bill Clinton. Unfortunately, so is the other.
There is a simple explanation for why this happened.
Work your Chevy truck to the bone, and what does it get you?
Stood there boldly, sweating in the sun. Felt like a million, felt like number one, like a rock.
It gets you the best resale value of any full-size truck in the business. The best.
Like a rock.
Chevrolet, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Like a rock.
Crisp, clean, Old Spice. It puts the wind in your sails.
Today, a woman needs a life insurance plan of her own.
State Farm sells life insurance from an agent who's there for you today and there tomorrow, too. You see, we start you out right with a plan specifically designed for a woman's needs. One that protects the people who count on you for so very much. And the State Farm agent will be there tomorrow, too, as your life changes, to keep that plan working for the people you love.
State Farm sells life insurance.
Next Saturday, Karch Karai defends his title against the very best in beach volleyball at the Old Spice King of the Beach Invitational. Then it's off to the races for the Belmont Park Breeders' Cup Preview. 91 Kentucky Derby winners strike the gold, and 92 Belmont Stakes winner 8B Indy in their final prep for racing's championship day. That's all next Saturday on NBC.
Irish holding a 3-point lead. Take over after the Stanford punt. Meyer, his receiver fell down. He and the defender were tangled up. That's Miller. He got his feet tangled with the defensive player. It's ruled incidental contact, no foul.
And from what I saw of it, that's exactly right. This was a play-action fake. Ooh, I'll tell you what. Miller got grabbed. Darian Gordon did grab him and yank him around a little bit. I believe Mike Miller has a case. Apparently the officials didn't see it that way.
Miller still upset. It'll be second down. Rick Meyer now 8 of 24 passing on the day. Draw play. Stanford not fooled. Tyrone Parker with a big defensive play for the Cardinal. Let's go to Jim Lampley now for an update.
All right, Tom, let's take you to College Station, Texas, where the 5th-ranked Aggies are in trouble against Texas Tech. This was early in the 4th quarter, a 22-yard touchdown run by Rodney Thomas that put A&M ahead 16-10. But the PAT hit the upright, and moments ago, Texas Tech got a 30-yard field goal from John Davis to go back on top 17-16, 5 minutes to go. We'll keep you posted, Tom.
All right, Jim, 5 minutes for the 4th-ranked Aggies to pull it out. Here's Meyer buying some time with a roll and then tossing it. The catch no good, out of bounds. Great effort by Jarrell, but it'll be for naught because the pass carried him out of bounds, and Notre Dame will have to punt again.
Man, what a play by Adrian Jarrell. He went about 4 feet in the air, but right there is the story, ladies and gentlemen. Rick Meyer, once again, just throwing high. Jarrell was there for the first down, could have converted it. You see him get a pat on the head. They know that if they're going to win the football game, Rick Meyer has to begin to play better. Lou Holtz came out, tried to give him an easy completion on first down, but Rick just has not been able to find the range so far this afternoon.
Shaw Hendrick has had a good day punting. This one sails. Milburn calls for the fair catch and makes it at the 34-yard line. A 49-yard Hendrick punt. No return on the fair catch by Milburn. Stenstrom on the field next.
Thomas.
There's only one way I know how to drive. Straight.
If you've been drinking, pick someone else to do the driving. A message from Budweiser.
If you depend on your truck to last, here's news you should never forget. Of all the Chevy trucks built in the last 10 years, over 98% are still going strong. That's more than Ford, more than Toyota, more than Nissan. Over the years, no other truck is that dependable, foreign or domestic. Only Chevrolet, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
But don't forget, man, we're going to get them on the run. We're going to go, 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 go.
In the Notre Dame tradition of excellence, a tribute to the legendary athletic accomplishment. The athletic department of the University of Notre Dame is proud to present its exclusive collection of sportswear and gift items. Merchandise of the highest quality design and available on a limited basis exclusively to the University of Notre Dame Department of Athletics. Call 1-800-345-5027 to receive a free catalog.
Sunday, from actual Secret Service case files, a vicious crime family kidnaps a female agent. Based on the actual case, an all-new Secret Service NBC Sunday.
8.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. 16-13, Notre Dame leading Stanford. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, John Dockery with you from Notre Dame Stadium. Stanford with a first down play from their own 34. Stenstrom will scramble and takes another hard hit from Anthony Peterson and Brian Young.
Watch Anthony Peterson right in the middle of your screen, number 49. He's got his eyes on Stenstrom all the way. He's trying to find a receiver. Now comes up, makes a nice open field tackle.
Stenstrom already beaten up coming into the game, has felt the hits from Peterson and others on the Irish defense today.
But he's a tough kid, boy. He's really hung in there.
Lastly, got only 2 yards before Devon McDonald collapses on him.
Tom, one thing that Lou Holtz told us yesterday is that he was worried about this game because traditionally Notre Dame never plays well in the 4th and the 5th weeks of the season because it is midterm exam time for his students. He said that Rick Meyer and Irv Smith were up until 2:30 in the morning earlier this week with a computer lab, and that he felt like that these guys may well not be ready to play, have enough rest. He was very concerned about that this afternoon.
Meyer, in fact, missed most of practice Tuesday and Thursday. Stenstrom with a 3rd down pass. And a great catch by Wetnight. Ryan Wetnight at midfield with Greg Lane all over him. Nice catch by Wetnight, the senior from Fresno, who managed to hold on. First catch of the day.
Now, if you're Notre Dame, the frustration begins to build. That's what a Bill Walsh team will do. They keep dumping it underneath, keep throwing short, keep throwing short, time after time after time, and then all of a sudden when the coaches in the press box start to see those safeties come up and those corners come up to try and make a play, then that's when they try to go deep.
Here's Mark Butterfield at quarterback now, replacing Stenstrom. Butterfield, redshirt freshman out of Antioch, California, playing in only his third game of the season. He has an arm. That one, though, hit as he let it go and almost intercepted by Covington. Covington coughed it up as he went to the turf.
Don't know exactly what happened to Steve Stenstrom, but Mark Butterfield, the young man that's a redshirt freshman, this is a tough spot to put a freshman in the ball game. He had his arm hit, throws it up for grabs, and very lucky that John Covington didn't make that play. Bill Walsh wasting no time getting Butterfield out of the game and Steve Stenstrom right back in. But he took most of the snaps this week in practice. When we were out there on Wednesday, he was running exclusively at quarterback. Stenstrom wasn't even playing.
Stenstrom changing the play. Milburn bounces off tacklers, then is surrounded and taken down for a loss. Devon McDonald led the charge. McDonald's twin brother Ricardo, an honorable mention All-American at Pitt, now playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. And he hopes to join him in the NFL next season out of Paterson, New Jersey.
He said that last week during that shutout, Dave Tipton, the defensive line coach, came out of the press box and down on the field for the first time. He said, that guy's like a cup of coffee. He'll wake you up in a hurry. And he did exactly that. Notre Dame with the shutout over Purdue a week ago.
Stenstrom's pass is complete. Short of the 40-yard line. It'll be close to a first down, perhaps not quite enough, and Bill Walsh may have a decision to make here on fourth down after Cook was stopped just short of the first down marker.
Looks like they'll take the timeout to measure, but there will be no decision to be made by Bill Walsh. If that is not a first down, I guarantee you he goes for it here. Looks like it could be about 6 inches short.
Now, wait a minute.
No,
you called a touchdown play, I think, earlier.
I saw this over here where they have the marker on the sideline. Looks like just inside the 40. Would you believe 2 inches?
That's what I was thinking all along.
Well, it's showtime, Bill.
I think he's already made his decision. He has his heavy load formation on the field. Once again, that includes 245-pound Nathan Olson, the son of former football great Merlin Olson, and it includes the second tight end, 290-pound Jeff Bucky.
Think the crowd might get into it on this play?
Fourth and a couple of inches from the Notre Dame 41. Irish lead 16-13, 5:46 left in the third. Stanford first down. Roberts still going and just tripped up at the 20-yard line by Tom Carter. Ellery Roberts with a 21-yard run. Welcome to those of you who've been watching the Miami-Florida State game here at Notre Dame Stadium. The Irish clinging to a 3-point lead over Stanford, 16-13, with 5:21 remaining in the third quarter. Notre Dame scoring 9 points on a safety and a touchdown drive in the first 3 minutes of the game. But here in the second half, it's Stanford with the momentum, and it's 16-13, and Walsh's Cardinals driving with a first down just inside the Notre Dame 20. Lofts it to a wide open Lashley, and Lashley for the touchdown.
Yeah, baby, number one. Hi, Mom.
Notre Dame's defense simply unable to find him. They run the play-action fake inside, and there is nobody within 10 yards of J.J. Lastly. He just cruises on into the end zone. That's just a brilliantly designed play by Bill Walsh.
And Stanford has its first lead of the game. Here's the extra point attempt by Abrams. And the Stanford Cardinal, once down to Notre Dame 16-0, has come charging back to take a 20-16 lead on Notre Dame.
Chevrolet announces just about the last thing you'd expect from a car company: lower prices. Believe it or not, this is for real. Chevrolet is lowering the price of every new 1993 Cavalier Coupe, sedan, wagon, and Z24 Coupe. No gimmicks or hassles, just straight talk and lower prices. Surprised? You shouldn't be. What else would you expect from the heartbeat of America?
This is Grand Central Station, crossroads of the world, and this is the Pitney Bowes 9070 copier. What we're doing is letting people make free copies on a machine that has in excess of 1 million copies.
This is my best friend. I want to make a copy.
I know you want to make a copy. Come on over.
What do? I lift this up? Voila.
We're still here. It's a little warm, and the machine is still pumping out cool, crisp copies. We've run 1,013,643 copies and had a little gum on the flat glass, but I scraped that off, and the machine is working great.
Tonight, a young boy's secret passion is exposed.
You're the one taking ballet.
And Malcolm Jamal Warner is leaping to the rescue on Here and Now. Then, on Out All Night, the guy who never grew up has become a role model.
Can I be your little brother? I think I'm gonna cry.
NBC Comedy Tonight.
Steve Martin. What a great day! Rick Moranis. Stay out of trouble. The network television premiere. Live Blue Heaven, NBC Sunday.
That Irish helmet showing some of the wear and tear of battle here at Notre Dame Stadium this afternoon. Some Stanford red on the side of that helmet as the Cardinal kicks off, now holding a 4-point lead. One of the up men, Becton, takes it. Lee Becton, a dangerous runner, now is to the 25-yard line. And Chris, let's go back to that touchdown play by Stanford. It had a familiar look to you.
It really did. This is a play that Bill Walsh hit against us in Super Bowl 16. Watch J.J. Lastly. He's going to take the fake right through this way. All the flow is coming this way. The Notre Dame defense this way as well, completely lost. And then the rollout and just hit a quick one. Absolutely nobody was able to cover J.J. Lastly. Nobody there.
Now Notre Dame tries to answer. Here's the option from Meyer on first down. He keeps and dives across the 30 to the 31-yard line. Sayon Albert with a tackle for Stanford. Let's check some other college scores now with Jim Lampley in New York.
All right, Tom and Chris, take a look at what happened in the Orange Bowl. Remember Jerry Thomas's last-second field goal missed for Florida State a year ago? Deja vu. Dan Mowry misses from 39 yards on the last play of the game, preserving a 19-16 Miami victory for the 5th time in 6 years. Miami knocks the Seminoles out of the national title chase.
All right, Jim. Exciting conclusion to that game between the 2nd and 3rd ranked teams in the nation. And here, the 6th ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in deep trouble. Lou Holtz's club down 4 to the 18th ranked Stanford Cardinal with under 4 minutes left in the 3rd quarter.
Well, I tell you, Bobby Bowden just cannot beat Miami. What did he say last year after that loss? They're going to write on my tombstone. He couldn't beat the Hurricanes. And once again, that's too bad.
3rd and short here for the Irish. Reggie Brooks stopped right at the 35-yard line. It'll be close to a first down. Let's see. He had to get to the 35. And this will be very, very close. It is enough for a first down, but not by much. I'm surprised they didn't measure, as a matter of fact.
Lou Holtz going back to what has worked best for him. He came out on first down, ran the option play. Stanford has been playing so much of that 8-man front that he felt like he had to try to throw the football. Well, Rick Meyer just not having a good day. So Lou said, I don't care. I'm going back to what I do best, and that's run the football.
As they do here with Jerome Bettis. Bettis breaks free for a moment and then is stopped by John Lynch. Lynch, the free safety of the Stanford Cardinal, has had an outstanding game. And let's go down to John Dockery.
You know, Tom, we've been talking about the distinctive play of free safety John Lynch for Stanford. Well, he has another distinction. You see, his baseball cap from the Florida Marlins, an expansion club in Major League Baseball, is in the Hall of Fame of baseball. He signed as a #2 draft choice last year, had the distinction of pitching the first game ever for the organization. They sent his cap to Cooperstown, and that's where it is. John Lynch, a very special player.
All right, Doc, based on his minor league record this summer and the game he's playing here today, though, I predict a football future for John Lynch.
Well, he is playing well.
Notre Dame pounding ahead for another first down.
Again, all on the ground. Lou Holtz knows what he does best. You kind of flash back a little bit to the Florida game in the Sugar Bowl a year ago. Had all kinds of problems in the first half. He tried to throw it, did all these different things. Then in the second half, almost exclusively ran the football. Looks like he's trying to go back to that now.
Meyer is going to be sacked. Second sack of the day by the Stanford defense, and it was Ron George, their All-American outside linebacker, that was all over Rick Meyer before he could even turn around.
Nice call by the officials there, too. You'll see that Rick Meyer tried to throw the pass, but he was able to hold on to the football. George pushed him back 2 or 3 steps, and the whistle did blow. See, the ball did not come back until his momentum was moving the other way. Nice call by the officials. That was not a fumble.
But it was a sack, and it sets up a 2nd and 19 as George and the other Stanford defenders look on. Myers drills this one. He's had problems all day with accuracy, but that one was absolutely perfect to Lake Dawson. 14 yards short of the first down. Dawson suffered bruised ribs earlier in the game, spent some time on the sideline. That's his first catch.
Boy, there are just some players that quarterbacks feel comfortable with. Here's Lake Dawson finding a hole in his own, and he did a nice job. I don't know if he still has on the flak jacket or not, but that's awfully tough to make that catch into your body. It looks like he probably does, and he did a nice job with his concentration.
Now it's 3rd and 4. Option play. Meyer stopped in his tracks for a loss back to the 49-yard line. Esteban Avila, the senior defensive end. And a penalty flag down. Let's see. Avila was over Meyer before he had a chance to even think about pitching.
This is a big penalty.
Stud ball, personal foul, defense.
That's one of those infractions that could decide the game. I don't know what happened.
Let's see if we can pick this up.
Two players landed on Meyer, but they were close.
I tell you what, if that is the call, somebody please tell me that that's not the call, because those 2 players that fell on top of the pile, they were pushed on top of Rick Meyer. Bill Walsh has every right to be upset about that one.
It results in a first down for Notre Dame. They're at the 36-yard line of Stanford. Bettis twisting for a yard or 2. Jerome Bettis, the All-American fullback of the Irish, who ran wild against Stanford last year with 179 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. Fumbled twice here in the 3rd quarter, one of them setting up a Stanford touchdown.
And it's interesting that Tyler Batson, number 61, is in the ball game for the Stanford defense. He is perhaps their quickest defensive lineman, and that is what Stanford wanted to do. Show some movement up there in that front 7, and they've had success with it.
Meyer across the middle at Bettis with a head of steam. Jerome Bettis has an Irish first down. There's a marker on the play. Another personal foul on Stanford. Ron George with a blow to the helmet of Rick Meyer, and the Cardinal coming unraveled a bit here.
You'll see Ron George, number 29. Nobody blocks him. It's just a quick read to Bettis, and there it is. You cannot head slap the quarterback. They do a lot of things to try to protect them.
On the defense, striking the quarterback in the head.
That's a nice call. It really is. I know it seems like you can't hurt the other player with that big helmet on, but they want to try and protect all these players to the best of their ability. That is clearly a rule, and back-to-back personal fouls on Stanford has contributed greatly to this Notre Dame drive.
And Stanford penalties. the story of their season so far. They've made some key ones that helped result in their opening game loss to Texas A&M. Could be big in this one. Bettis wrestled down. No gain. As the third quarter comes to an end, the Irish are driving. We'll be back to Notre Dame Stadium after these messages from your local station.
Wednesday, it's every parent's nightmare. Your daughter's jilted boyfriend returns for revenge, then outwits the court.
Objection.
A must-see Law & Order NBC Wednesday.
Rust protection, sunroofs, interior and exterior detailing, auto alarms. There are a lot of things you can have done to your car, but there's one place that does it all. And when Z-Bart Tidy Car does it, you know it's done right.
Save during our fall clearance on window tint, just $99, while all our sunroofs are $50 off, starting at $149.95. Hurry, offer ends soon. See your white pages.
George Bush is running attack ads. He says all these people would have their taxes raised by Bill Clinton. Scary, huh? Misleading, says the Washington Post. And the Wall Street Journal says Clinton has proposed to cut taxes for the sort of people featured in Bush's ad. So why is Bush doing it? Because George Bush has had the worst economic record of any president in 50 years. George Bush is trying to scare you about Bill Clinton. But nothing could be more frightening than 4 more years.
Why did teen Amy Fisher go to Joseph Buttafuoco's suburban home and shoot his wife Mary Jo point blank in the head? Were Amy and Joe lovers, as she claims? Did Amy work as a call girl for an escort service he ran? Was Justice cheated by her plea bargain? Is Amy a betrayed victim or a lethal Lolita? Hear exclusive new information as we go behind the headlines in a special town meeting next Sally.
See for yourself Sally Jesse Raphael, Monday at 4 on Channel 4. Is this man running from the police, or is he going to mug this woman? From this point of view, it looks like he's about to attack this man. But it's not until you see the complete picture that you can tell that he's not a criminal, but a hero. On the Newsbeat, we give you the whole story. No bias, no opinion. Fast, fresh, fair. The Newsbeat team, only on 4. Detroit's most watched morning newscast, The Newsbeat Today. See for yourself only on 4.
Notre Dame and Lou Holtz has had their greatest success on the goal line this season with their option play. Let's see if they come back to it.
The 11th play of the drive opens the fourth quarter. Meyer fakes and now runs that option that you called, Chris, and Meyer tripped up, falls to the 9-yard line as Stanford defends the option very well that time.
What happened in the backfield that time, Rick Meyer was slowed down just a little bit by the fake. For some reason, the mesh wasn't exactly there. Watch this. He'll have to stutter step a little bit in trying to get around Jerome Bettis. That gave Coy Gibbs time to come around the corner and make the play.
Coy Gibbs, the son of Washington Redskins coach Joe Gibbs. Now it's third and about 7. Lake Dawson wide left. Watch him. He's Meyer's key receiver.
He's one-on-one.
Meyer goes the other way, and it's intercepted in the end zone. John Lynch, who else, runs out of bounds at the 25-yard line. He's having the game of a lifetime.
That is exactly what Lou Holtz did not want to have happen. At the very worst, you want to come out of there with a field goal. That puts you within 1 in this ball game, and you don't have to get it back in the end zone. Rick Meyer may be playing his worst game as a college quarterback. Simply was not there. John Lynch had that one read all the way. There's no harm in throwing that football away if you're Rick Meyer. Go ahead, allow the field goal team to come on and put your team within 1.
So on the turnover, first down, Stanford. 24-yard line of the Cardinal. Stenstrom steps up, completes a short pass to Ellery Roberts. Surrounded and taken down at the 30-yard line after a gain of 6 with Demetrius DuBose leading the charge.
But Bill Walsh knows this football game isn't over. He comes right out on first down, and rather than trying to be conservative, run the football, run a little clock, he says, I know I've got to score more points than this. 20 simply is not going to be enough to win this game. He's attacking the Notre Dame defense right off the bat. And Rick Meyer really needs to regain his composure, because if Notre Dame has any chance of coming back and winning, he has to be the guy.
Roberts has the first down. Let's check in once again in New York with Jim Lampley. Jim?
All right, Tom, let's take you to the moment of truth in College Station, Texas. Terry Venetoulias, having missed a short field goal and the point after touchdown in the fourth quarter, kicks this game-winning field goal on the last play to keep A&M unbeaten, 19-17 over Texas Tech. Tom and Chris.
All right, Jim. Close calls in college football today, and one brewing here with Stanford leading and with the football. Tight finishes. Texas A&M pulling one out. The Miami-Florida State game right to the last play. And here's a timeout taken by Stanford. 13:08 left in this game. The Cardinal bidding for the upset of the favorite Irish. They lead Notre Dame 20-16.
Like a rock, I was strong as I could be. Like a rock.
First, J.D. Power and Associates ranked Chevrolet the best full-size pickup in initial quality. Now they also report Chevrolet is the best truck line overall in sales satisfaction.
Like a rock.
Chevrolet, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Like a rock.
Oh, you looked scarier 25 years ago.
Did I?
You looked scared.
I don't know. I thought I hit it well for an innocent girl.
You were innocent for the 60s.
Any regrets?
None. You?
Just one.
What?
That I waited 25 years to give you this.
The 25th anniversary diamond, a brilliant celebration of a loving marriage.
I've got goosebumps.
Well, you've given me goosebumps for 25 years.
Fix-A-Dent Fresh. The spring water fresh feeling is reason enough to try it. And it's the strongest holding adhesive, so you'll never settle for anything less. Crisp freshness, strongest hold. 2 great reasons to Fix-A-Dent and forget it.
There are 2 people who can raise your income and lower your taxes right now. You and your financial advisor. Call and find out how you can increase your spendable income with Nuveen tax-free mutual funds.
Notre Dame football is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the trucks you can depend on, the trucks that last. By Goodyear, #1 in tires. And by John Nuveen and Company, quality tax-free investment since 1898.
Newt Rockley helped design Notre Dame Stadium a year before his death in a Kansas plane crash. There have been many great Irish comebacks here. They trail by 4 points. Stanford has the ball, just over 13 minutes left in the game. Hurdling would-be tacklers is J.J. Lashley. He has about 6 or 7 yards before he's covered by Demetrius DuBose.
And that's the power of having a Glenn Milburn in your backfield. Number 5, Glenn Milburn, went in motion that time. Demetrius DuBose, out of respect for him, widened, and that allowed J.J. Lashley to break it up the middle for about an 8-yard gain.
There's Milburn. Came into the game second in America in all-purpose yards. Has been held to only 42 rushing today. Two setbacks reposition themselves, and after the mix-up, Stenstrom is forced to spend his second timeout on this drive. Bill Walsh didn't want to see that. Mix-up on the offense by Stanford forces them to use their second timeout. But they only have 1 timeout left. Sorry, Chris.
You see the smile on Bill Walsh's face. I mean, there's a lot of pressure down there, and he doesn't want his quarterback, Steve Stenstrom, to get the feeling that he's messing up or that he should be uncomfortable. He smiles, pats him on the back, says, don't worry about it. Remember, these are not professional athletes. These are young men between 20, 22 years of age, and Bill Walsh knows how to get in their face from time to time and how to pat them on the back when necessary as well.
Aerial shots of our game today provided by Goodyear Tires and one of its famed airships from Pompano Beach, Florida, the Stars and Stripes. A beautiful Indian summer day in South Bend, Indiana. And early in the game, it looked like it might be a Notre Dame rout. They scored 9 points in the first 3 minutes. It opened with a safety after Demetrius DeBose stacked Stenstrom. Then the ensuing touchdown drive made it 9-0 Irish. In the second quarter, Notre Dame increased its lead to 16-0 on Burris, normally a safety, in a full house backfield from 2 yards out. In the second quarter, Stanford, after a fumble, finally got on the board with a touchdown. 2-point conversion failed. In the third quarter, Stanford converting a Bettis fumble into a touchdown. It was 16-13, and then Stanford taking the lead on a 20-yard Stenstrom to Lastly pass. Stanford attacking the Notre Dame middle with J.J. Lastly. And Jim Lampley's been busy today. Jim, what else is going on?
Let's go to Madison, Wisconsin, Tom, where it's on Wisconsin for the Badgers and former Lou Holtz assistant Barry Alvarez. This short touchdown run by Brent Moss in the second half gave Wisconsin a lead. They got it to 20-10, gave up a touchdown, but held off a Buckeye rally and have beaten Ohio State for the 6th time in 12 years.
Boy, how do you figure those Buckeyes?
After what they did in the Carrier Dome against Syracuse to come back and lose to Wisconsin.
3rd and 1. Milburn to the outside. Puts on a beautiful move. Still on his feet. Glenn Milburn inside the Irish 40. Determined run before he's tackled by Jeff Burris. One of the finest runs of the game.
What a weapon he is. I mean, he comes out of the backfield. He returns kicks for you. Told you earlier, averaging 210 yards per game in total offense, and he just simply refuses to go down. He's not a big guy either, about 5'8", 5'9", 175 pounds or so, but he has a big heart.
Look what he does. He hits you from a lot of different ways. His cousin Rod Milburn won an Olympic gold medal at the Munich Olympics in the hurdles. He was hurdling tacklers that time and has the Stanford first down. Over it again. Nothing there this time. Hit at the 40-yard line by Anthony Peterson. Peterson, a junior from Monongahela, Pennsylvania, same hometown as Joe Montana.
Ironically, when we talked to Anthony Peterson, he said that his most memorable moment was from last year's Tennessee's incredible second-half rally. He said that pain is not easily forgotten. And it's funny that Stanford has used that film as a motivational tool to try and get ready for this afternoon's ballgame.
2nd and 10. Notre Dame looks for a big defensive play here. Clock shows 10:39. Stanford up 4. Stenstrom completes it to Cook. Cook may be hurt, or maybe that's just a cramp as he tries to stretch it out.
I think you're exactly right. It looks like whenever they grab the end of their toes and pull it back, that's what they do with the cramp. And Mike Cook has been running all over the field. Stanford seems like they have guessed every single time the right way. Here they had another crossing route against man-to-man coverage. That's almost impossible for Greg Lane to cover because he has to dodge so many of the, not only the Stanford receivers, but his own defensive players. Bill Walsh is either inside the head of the defensive coordinator, Rick Minner, for Notre Dame, or he's been awfully lucky this afternoon.
Big afternoon from Mike Cook from Fountain Valley, California. Came in as the leading receiver and has had a big day. 8th play of the drive here. Milburn shakes one tackler and has a first down. Milburn was hit short of first down territory, somehow managed to wiggle free to get the first down.
This is the same play that they scored the touchdown on. Milburn lined up on the slot on the left-hand side. Number 5 is going to come around. Big number 65, Brian Cassidy out front, throws the key block, allowing Milburn to pick up the first down and keep this drive alive. Milburn just refusing to go down. Well, you really like to see that in a smaller player. Have that kind of heart, that kind of determination. That's why he's a Heisman candidate.
Never missed a game, high school or college. He says his speed and quickness keeps him from getting punished. Stenstrom for the end zone, almost intercepted. Covington made a break on the football, and nearly was able to pick it off. The intended receiver, J.J. Lashley, may have had a hand in knocking it to the ground.
Stenstrom lucky on that play. You just don't want to throw it that far down the middle of the field. The middle read route, which is exactly what Lashley was on there, has to be thrown inside of 20 yards. If you try and complete it any further than that down the field, it just gives John Covington and Jeff Burris too much time to break on the football. Stenstrom got away with one there.
200 yards passing for Steve Stenstrom, despite the fact that he was unable to throw in practice all week because of a bruised chest. Holtz trying to rally his defense. Less than 10 minutes left. Milburn on the draw. Pulled back for the Notre Dame defense. It'll be 3rd and long.
This is getting down to crunch time. 9:38 remaining in the ball game now. Bill Walsh faced with a 3rd down and about 10. They've had a lot of success with those crossing routes, but now this will probably come out in a zone defense. Wouldn't be surprised to see Lou Holtz say, all right, let's just sit back in the zone, see if they can complete one down the field. Possibly even try and send Demetrius DeBose on that blitz once again. We really haven't seen it since they got the safety in the 1st quarter.
Nickel defense for the Irish. Milburn has a hole. He's going to be stopped short of the 1st down. He's shy of the 20-yard line. It'll be 4th down for Stanford.
Yeah, no decision to make now. They're up by 4. They want the lead by a touchdown, so they send the field goal kicker in. That's Eric Abrams. And he is a terrific player, recruited by just about everybody in the country. 5 for 6 so far this season. His only miss has been from 50 yards, a perfect 10 for 10 on extra points as well. But I don't think he's ever faced pressure like this kid.
Abrams, a freshman from San Diego, from 37 yards. And it's good. Eric Abrams, a 37-yard field goal, and the Stanford lead now goes to 7. There's the kick. It's Stanford 23, Notre Dame 16.
I noticed a definite difference in the way they drive.
The Goodyear AquaTread all-season radial. Its advanced deep groove aqua channel channels water away as you drive.
Just like you're glued to the road. 60,000-mile guarantee. Snow, wet, dry, strong, secure.
AquaTread, only from Goodyear.
Gives me a feeling of Aquaman.
Another reason we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
I'd go to Goodyear immediately. I really would.
I'm paid to buy the high-volume copies. I don't want to have to worry about them.
The corporate line from Canon.
It's simple. If our copiers are working, our people are working.
High-volume copying systems so reliable, you don't have to think about them.
All I want to know is it keeps copying, sorting, stapling. End of story.
The corporate line from Canon, the #1 copier company, and the new power in high-volume copying.
It's only natural that children look to their parents for answers. So to help you explain why some things that may be fine for adults aren't right for children, Anheuser-Busch offers Family Talk, free advice from professionals to use with your kids while they're still learning to be grown up. And their favorite teacher is you. Let's stop underage drinking before it starts.
In 1993, you'll have over 500 new car models to choose from. And you can be pretty sure that most of them will cost more than they did last year. But this one won't. The Lumina Euro Sedan from Chevrolet. You'll find the features you're looking for, but you won't find a higher number on the sticker. This year's Lumina, last year's prices. Pretty ingenious, huh? What else would you expect from the heartbeat of America?
Sunday, you'll eyewitness the climax to a dangerous police manhunt and feel the heat in a Hellfighter Spectacular Video Diary. An all-new Eyewitness Video, NBC Sunday.
23-16 Stanford, 8:22 left. Perhaps time for some of that fabled Irish magic here at Notre Dame Stadium. Stanford kickoff down to the end zone for the touchback. for more football action tomorrow, NFL style. It starts with NFL Live at 12:30. One of the games you'll be seeing, one of the great matchups of the young season, two unbeaten teams. Miami, Keith Jackson perhaps to help Dan Marino's aerial game. Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, and the Bills. Some of you will see Indianapolis, Tampa Bay. Other games, Kansas City and Denver fighting it out in the AFC West. Here at Notre Dame Stadium, it's Stanford 23, Notre Dame 16, 8:22 left. Rick Meyer has not had a good day, but can he rally the Irish? Ray Griggs with a start. That's a reception of about 6 yards. Darian Gordon on the tackle.
Bill Walsh said that without question, Rick Meyer will be the #1 player taken in this year's NFL draft. That is, if there is an NFL draft. He also said that he would have been the first player taken last year had he come out. Well, now Rick is having a rough time of it, but still plenty of time to bring the Irish back.
They don't do well when he has to go to the air a lot. He's done that today. Can he rally them here? He's in trouble and tosses it away.
That's a nice play. That's a nice play by Rick Meyer. There was absolutely nothing there. They tried to run the delay screen back to the short side of the field. It was completely covered by Stanford. Throw the football away. Give your team a chance now on 3rd and 4. Nice play by Rick Meyer.
The Stanford defense has been equal to that #2 national ranking today. Fred Van Appen, the defensive coordinator of the Cardinal, has done an excellent job. They were hurt by the Notre Dame powerful running game late in the first half. They cut off the run in the second half effectively. Only 10 yards rushing for Notre Dame's second half. Off the hands of Brooks and incomplete. And once again, Meyer not on target with his pass.
Except you have to say, you see Reggie Brooks, he's limping. That groin is bothering him. I think that's a play that Reggie Brooks makes if he's completely healthy. He just could not jump with that right leg the way that he ordinarily does. Barely left the ground when he tried to jump up. It wasn't a terrible throw by Rick Meyer, especially given the athleticism of one Reggie Brooks. He just couldn't get off the ground.
So Notre Dame must punt. Hendrick is on. And Milburn, the deep man for Stanford. Hangs up. Milburn calls for a fair catch and makes it at the 28-yard line. Stanford defense holds after that 46-yard punt. It'll be Cardinal football.
3 and out. Take one and action. Hey, what's the best thing about breakfast at McDonald's?
Coffee.
Pour it out of the cup. It's steaming. It's dark and rich.
I pour it personally.
Coffee fresh?
Fresh brewed. Fantastic cup of coffee.
So what's the secret?
Arabica.
Oh, what's an Arabica?
Arabica beans.
Oh, the beans. And what else?
It's always fresh.
It just tastes good.
And they like to come in and talk with each other, and just like the small coffee shop long ago.
How much a coffee refill?
They're free. What you want is what you get.
It's guaranteed.
What's up?
Yeah.
More than 1 million of you have gotten to know Geo, the most successful new line of cars and trucks ever introduced. Get to know Geo at your Chevrolet Geo dealers.
Getting to know
In developing a completely new car, the possibilities are endless. At Geo, we brought all the pieces together beautifully. The newest Geo, Geo Prism, coming soon to your Chevrolet Geo dealers.
Finally, a chance to get away. Moments like this call for Gold MasterCard.
We could find a romantic hotel.
In Paris?
It has the added credit you've earned.
We could sneak off to the beach.
Yeah, Maui.
Plus, no card is accepted in more places at home and abroad.
Or we could take a trip we'll all remember.
Gold MasterCard, the best gold card to master the moment.
It was unreal. You woke up with morning breath. You were meeting Miss Wonderful for breakfast, and instead of minty fresh scope... Where's my scope? There was something from the medicine in mouthwash. It looked blue, but it still smelled so white medicine. I need my scope. It's okay. Relax. It was all a dream. You do have scope. It's minty through and kills 90% of morning breath bacteria. So you use minty fresh scope, and you kiss morning breath goodbye.
Troy Dorsey, a non-stop punching machine. This former champion's tough trail back now goes through his opponent's hometown. Jesse James Leha, one of the best prospects in the ring today. Dorsey battles Leha. 2 tough Texans in a Lone Star showdown today on NBC.
At one point in the first half, Notre Dame led Stanford 16-0, but the Cardinal have outscored the Irish 17-0 in the second half. Those 14 third-quarter points, the first surrendered by Notre Dame this season. Stenstrom on first down. Ooh, the ball and Lane arrived simultaneously. It's surprising that Milburn was able to hang on to the football.
You have to get out of that play. You can't run that play. You've got a corner, Greg Lane, right in your face, and your tight end, Brian Wetnight, tries to get out there, but that has to be an audible. Steve Stenstrom has to get out of that play. You can't run it against that rolled-up corner.
So big play there by the Irish defense, setting up a 2nd and 12. Notre Dame needs a big stop from its defense here to get the ball back with 6:55 and counting. Milburn. Tom Carter went in to make the tackle. Milburn gets to the 30-yard line. A gain of 4. It'll be 3rd and 9 coming up. And Milburn today has passed New York Giants coach Ray Handley on the all-time Stanford rushing list. Just as a note, Handley, at the Giants practice on Monday, guaranteed a Stanford victory.
That's something they do in New York. I don't know what that is. But really, Glenn Milburn made a mistake there, not staying outside of Brian Cassidy. But now, these Irish fans realize they're getting down to a pretty tough time.
Milburn again. Walker's in front. Milburn has a first down. Milburn hog-tied and taken out of bounds at the 44-yard line. Clutch 26-yard run by the All-American Glenn Milburn. Only Jeff Burris saved a touchdown.
That time, Milburn did a much better job of staying behind the block of Brian Cassidy. He's going to lead the way. You'll see Milburn follow him this time. The last time he cut it up too soon. This time he allowed Cassidy to make the block, and off he goes.
Well, that much maligned Irish defense being victimized here in the second half by Milburn, who's just 1 yard away from 100, and the Stanford offense. 17-0. Stanford has outscored Notre Dame in the second half. Roberts gets 2. Clock shows under 6 minutes left.
And Rick Minner is going to the 8-man front. He realizes that now it is time for him to begin to take some chances. They can't just sit back and allow Stanford to go down the field. This ball game will be over. They're coming up. They're putting pressure on the offensive line of Stanford. There's a lot of room to throw the football now, should Steve Stenstrom and Bill Walsh choose to do so.
5.5 minutes. 6th-ranked Irish in trouble. Already have suffered a tie at the hands of Michigan on their home field. A loss to Stanford today would end their national championship hopes. Roberts. Got only a yard or so. It'll be another key 3rd down play for Walsh's offense. 1 year ago, Bill Walsh was sitting in this booth as a commentator for NBC, commenting on the Notre Dame home games. He never thought that he would be back here facing that man, Lou Holtz, as coach. One of the reasons he came back was the pleasant association he had with Holtz and the Irish players and their positive attitude. He's back now and on the verge of engineering a tremendous upset. 3rd and 5. This could be the game. Wide open, and the catch made by Wetnight. Wetnight inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. Tracked down by Jeff Burris, but not until he bit off 21 yards.
Give full credit now to the offensive line of Stanford. They sent everybody after Steve Stenstrom and simply could not get there. This was a full blitz, man-to-man coverage down the field, and you see Wetnight come wide open. That play could never happen that way without the offensive line doing their job. Completely stymied the blitz.
There's Wetnight, turf hanging on his helmet and everything, who made that key 3rd down catch from the 18. Stanford with a first down and almost 4 minutes showing on the clock. Lastly, he's to the 15-yard line. That's a 3-yard gain. Anthony Peterson with the tackle. Now less than 4 minutes left.
I don't believe you're going to see Bill Walsh throw the football again. Remember, he has one of the best kickers in the country in Eric Abrams. A field goal ends this ball game now. He has it on the 15-yard line. Bill will be very content to let this clock run down and let his freshman Eric Abrams try to end the game.
Abrams hit a 37-yarder earlier this quarter. Well, this was billed as a battle of the genius coaches. There's Abrams, the freshman who may be called on. Bill Walsh against Lou Holtz. It dominated all the pregame speculation. And right now, Walsh with the upper hand. Play clock was down to 2 before they handed to Milburn. When Milburn, he's got a touchdown.
Watch number 50, Chris Dahlman. On the play, going to pull out in front. You see Dahlman, he's going to lead. Milburn swings around, and Milburn is just doing a great job of following his blocking. That time it's Dahlman on the corner, one-on-one with the Tom Carter. Boom, kicks him out. And Milburn with the clincher.
Now Abrams with the extra point. And the Stanford Cardinal, more than a 2-touchdown underdog. Goes up by 30 to 16. Glenn Milburn. He could win the Heisman.
It takes strength to go climbing 7 days a week. That's why one compact pickup powers you with the biggest full-size V6 engine you can get. Only Chevy S10 Tahoe 4x4. Chevrolet, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road.
Today, a woman needs a life insurance plan of her own.
State Farm sells life insurance from an agent who's there for you today and there tomorrow, too. You see, we start you out right with a plan specifically designed for a woman's needs. One that protects the people who count on you for so very much. And the State Farm agent will be there tomorrow, too, as your life changes, to keep that plan working for the people you love.
State Farm sells life insurance.
The Postal Service would like to present 2-day priority mail. That's delivery in just 2 days of up to 2 pounds for just $2.90. Remember, 2 days, 2 pounds, $2.90. 2-day priority mail from your Postal Service.
We deliver for you.
For pickup service, call 1-800-222-1811.
There are 2 people who can raise your income and lower your taxes right now. You and your financial advisor. Call and find out how you can increase your spendable income with Nuveen tax-free mutual funds.
The Bills. With machine gun Jim Kelly and the electrifying Thurman Thomas, Buffalo's offense has scored the most points in the NFL. The Dolphins. Their feared passing attack can light up the scoreboard as well. It's Kelly versus Marino in a battle of undefeateds. Sunday.
A long way back for Holtz and the Irish, now down 30-16 with only 3 minutes and 12 seconds left. They call him the genius, Bill Walsh. About to engineer the biggest upset of his college coaching career anyway. Kickoff taken out of the end zone. And they'll try to pass it back, and that could be intercepted, is it? Yes, Stanford has it back. What else can go wrong for the Irish? Do you think Walsh told his players to be ready for that? They looked to be all over it. It was Clint Johnson that tried to pass it back, and David Walker was standing right there.
You're going to see Clint Johnson right here try and come up with a gimmick play, throw it over this way, but Stanford seems to be in the right place all the time anymore. You know, they just have been making plays like that all day long. But from Lou Holtz's standpoint, he had to try something. He needed 2 touchdowns in the final minute. Maybe a gimmick play, breaks for the distance, gives you a chance. But once again, Stanford in the right place at the right time. And what a bitter pill for Lou Holtz to swallow.
5th turnover of the game for the Irish in shades of 1990, when Stanford, with a great comeback, beat Notre Dame 36-31, knocking the Irish out of first place in the polls and ending their chances for a national championship. And it was turnovers that proved the undoing of the Irish that day as well. That ended a long winning streak at home for Notre Dame. They had won 18 in a row before that 1990 Stanford upset. And once again, the Cardinal, this time under Bill Walsh, comes to Notre Dame Stadium with a tremendous upset.
And Tom, one thing that you have to take a minute and reflect on is the fact that Notre Dame did have the tie against a very talented Michigan team, but their other victories have been against Northwestern, who came into this game 0-3. I believe they're beating Purdue today. Michigan State was 0-3, and Purdue came in 1-2. They'll move to 1-3 on the season. So they really haven't run into a team like this Stanford Cardinal football team. And Lou Holtz said that it has been amazing to watch how they have progressed under Bill Walsh, that he felt like if they had another chance to play Texas A&M, their only loss of the season, that they would beat Texas A&M now. And Lou Holtz knowing exactly what he's talking about.
And Notre Dame, averaging nearly 40 points a game coming in, has been held to only 16 by this second-ranked Stanford defense.
Well, Stanford on the year has given up just 13.5 points per game, and we wondered about the challenge between this great offense and the great defense. As you said, Notre Dame averaging 40 points per ball game, but it has clearly gone to the Stanford Cardinal defense. And I don't think the players on Notre Dame's sideline can believe what has happened to them. Remember, they had a 16-0 lead in this ball game.
Last week against Purdue, Bettis and company rushed for 458 yards, held to 153 by Fred Van Appen, the defensive coordinator of Stanford today. There's a fumble by Milburn. Ball ruled down, no fumble, even though Notre Dame came out of the pack with it.
And how about Rick Meyer? Here's a young man that passed up millions of dollars to go into the National Football League to try to come back and win a national championship. And here against the Stanford Cardinal team, having perhaps his worst afternoon in his college career.
Only 11 of 31, 170 yards, and 1 interception. Meyer, mentioned by many as a Heisman candidate, sees that chance go out the window today, as well as his dedication to a national championship by coming back.
He's had some terrific days against Stanford in 2 years versus the Cardinal team. He's had 4 touchdown passes, 2 running touchdowns, no interceptions, but not the case here this afternoon. Stanford returned 10 starters off of their defense from a year ago. Of course, many of them put together by Dennis Green, now the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. Bill Walsh came in and took over a talented group, and but I don't think anyone expected this kind of an upset this afternoon.
And what a prescient move by Walsh to show his players films of that Tennessee game. Yes, he was shocked. Notre Dame scored 9 points in the first 3 minutes of the game. It would have been easy to pack it in and go on downhill from there. But he had shown them the Tennessee comeback, and his players emulating that volunteer comeback today with one of their own.
A lot of poise. This is a classy group of football players. You go up and down the list, and most of them are academic All-Americans, academic All-Pac-10, and they did a great job of maintaining their poise.
This is not a gratuitous compliment, but sitting and talking to players from both these teams on their campuses is a treat.
It really is.
They are articulate, poised, and are one of the best things I can think of about college football. That goes to both Notre Dame and Stanford. Roberts stopped just short of the goal line. There's a timeout. Demetrius DeBow signaling for it. Although now he's allowed it at 2:29.
And it's good. It's good to see Ellery Roberts playing football again for Stanford. Last October, he had neck surgery to repair a disc problem, in his neck. You can see the neck roll underneath his shoulder pads. There's always concern that you will never be able to come back and play, but he certainly has had a terrific football game this afternoon.
And for Stanford, a tough schedule coming up. They'll be playing UCLA, then Arizona, Oregon State, and top-ranked Washington as they open their Pac-10 schedule. Well, tonight it's NBC Comedy Saturday, starting with the new hit series Here and Now, starring Malcolm Jamal Warner, followed by an all-new Out All Night starring Patti LaBelle, plus all new episodes of Empty Nest and Nurses, and an all-new Sisters. That's all coming up tonight here on NBC. Well, there's not been a lot to cheer about in the second half if you're a Notre Dame fan. The second half has exclusively belonged to the Cardinal. Their defense shutting out the nation's #1 offensive team, Notre Dame, in the third and fourth quarters.
Well, and this is about as quiet as I've seen this crowd since we've been here. Maybe the only time it has matched it was after the tie to Michigan. The Notre Dame band feeling obligated to crank up a little noise in the stadium.
You know, the famed victory march has kind of a hollow sound in this context, doesn't it?
You can even tell the band's not quite as enthusiastic as they generally are.
What about Stanford? They could make a run at the Pac-10 title based on this performance on foreign turf today.
Well, that's what they're talking about. He said Bill Walsh said this game's important, but our Pac-10 schedule is more important.
Abrams with an 18-yard field goal attempt. And it's good as the Cardinal add insult to injury and up their lead over Notre Dame to 33-16. I don't know that Notre Dame has been this dominated as they by any team as they have in the second half by Stanford today. The tears of frustration streaming down the cheeks of Rick Meyer.
Lou Holtz never one to lose his enthusiasm, but this is clearly a game that he would have liked to have won.
And he warned us, didn't he, yesterday in his office? He said, we never play well in the 4th and 5th games of the season because of midterms.
You know, that's the thing that a lot of people forget about is that these young men are college students first and foremost, and they're treated that way, both at Stanford and at Notre Dame. Stanford, their school year just getting underway. Lou Holtz felt like that was a definite advantage for them, but really you can't make any excuses in this ball game. This is just a Stanford Cardinal team that had every reason in the world to lay down and quit, and they refused to do so, coming back scoring 33 unanswered points in this ball game.
Once trailed 16-0. Miller's going to come out of there with it. Maybe he got a good choice. Miller, the speedster, with the angle, he's knocked out of bounds finally, but a good return by Mike Miller.
Boy, you just love to see that in a young man. Here they're down by 17 points. Really no chance whatsoever to win this football game, but Mike Miller, with his great speed, takes it 9 yards deep in the end zone and says, I'm going to try and do something about it. He brings it out and just makes a terrific run. You've got to wonder why Mike Miller doesn't get more playing time. He's a very exciting player.
57-yard return, says Mr. Stats, Elliott Kalb. Meyer tackled. Tried to pass, was flushed from the pocket, and now approaching 2 minutes. Tom Hammond, Chris Collinsworth, John Dockery from Notre Dame Stadium with producer David Michaels, director Andy Rosenberg. Notre Dame out of timeouts, as you see. Myers' pass incomplete, intended for Lake Dawson. Certainly the absence of Dawson for much of the game with bruised ribs was a factor in the sputtering Irish offense.
And Reggie Brooks being out with that groin pull. He tried to make a go of it, but clearly this was not the Lake Dawson or Reggie Brooks that we're used to seeing. I do want to pass along one note, though. Craig Hendrick asked us, the kicker for Notre Dame, asked us to pass along best wishes to Kevin Pendergast, the backup kicker's mom. She's in a hospital, and certainly our best wishes to you as you watch the ball game.
And Todd Norman's brother Tom, a senior defensive end in California, scheduled for reconstructed knee surgery Monday. He wanted to send along his best wishes. Irv Smith with his second reception of the day.
Boy, and really credit the game plan for Stanford. Fred Von Appen, what a job they've done shutting down the first and second down plays.
Dawson pays the price after he makes that catch, and the first down reception will stop the clock at 1:39.
Well, that's great courage shown by Lake Dawson. Here, this game clearly over, and yet he refuses to come out even with his bruised ribs. He wants to play football.
6-yard line. Ball at the 25-yard line of Stanford. Batted down. Sticky defense again by the Cardinal units. Dave Garnett all over Irv Smith to bat the ball down.
And one of the things that they've done a terrific job of, they being Stanford, is attack within the zones. They play a zone defense, but when they're back in there and a receiver comes into their zone, they're all over them. They change it into almost a man-to-man coverage. That time you see Dave Garnett playing it beautifully.
It's figured to be a severe test for that highly rated Stanford defense, and they have been every bit up to the task. Griggs can't get close to that one.
Guess who's there? John Lynch. I think this may well be one of the best games I've seen a safety have in a long, long time. He has been all over the place, and we will be happy to make that young man our player of the game.
Funny that you should mention that. Today's Chevrolet player of the game, John Lynch of Stanford. In conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute $2,000 to the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators for disbursement to deserving college students so they may continue their education. What a game Lynch had. Back Lynch with that key interception in the end zone for Stanford, where it might be a completely different game.
Yeah, you're exactly right, because at that point, it was 20-16. If Rick Meyer just throws that ball away, not allow John Lynch to come up with the interception, it probably would have been a 20-19 football game there, and you never know what happens. But give all the credit in the world to Bill Walsh and the Stanford offense, because they never sat on the football. Even when they had the lead, they kept attacking.
This will be the 38th pass attempted by Meyer. That's a new career high for him. And he is 1 and 5 in passes in games where he's thrown this many passes. The number is 28, that or more, and he's won only once. That was a 4th down play, and Stanford will take over.
And you know what's interesting? If you look at the Stanford sideline, there's no celebrating. I mean, these guys are acting like they expected this all along. A couple of handshakes, maybe a pat on the back, but there's no jumping up and down, the high fives. These guys, they came in here to do a job, and they got it done.
That's kind of the Bill Walsh style, too, isn't it?
It really is. Ron George, the great linebacker for Stanford, said that when Notre Dame came in there last year, they just were machine-like. They came in, just whipped us, and left without saying a word. Well, it looks like Stanford is doing much the same here this afternoon.
They're going to have the last word at Notre Dame Stadium as they have their 2nd consecutive upset victory of the Irish here after being overwhelmed on their home field by Notre Dame last season. Lou Holtz and Rick Mitter discussing what might have been with a different play here or there. Well, this was billed by many as the battle between Walsh and Holtz. They had some uncomfortable moments last year when some of Walsh's comments weren't appreciated by Coach Holtz and Walsh's role as a broadcaster. And before the game today, there was no pregame handshake between the two. We'll keep an eye on them as the clock ticks down here today. Holtz has seen his Irish lose for the first time today. They will be 3-1-1. And Walsh, after that 3-point setback at the hands of Texas A&M in the season opener, will go to 4-1.
And over the last 2 years, Stanford now has won 11 of their last 13 games. You have to think that they'll now move up close to the top 10 in the nation with this win.
Cardinal ranked 18th in the AP poll coming into today as Stenstrom getting congratulations all around, as does Bill Walsh. And here is the traditional post-game handshake. Walsh and Holtz with a moment in the center of the field.
Congratulations.
And there's Hannah Storm with Coach Walsh.
Okay, Coach, congratulations. We need to start over again. What are your emotions right now? This is a fantastic.
It's one of the biggest wins in my life. This includes Super Bowls. Going to Notre Dame and winning out. Going to Notre Dame and winning is just a fantastic tribute to our football players who were outgunned all the way, and we outplayed Notre Dame in South Bend. It's just a marvelous feeling.
Coach, you told me at the beginning of this week you were afraid your team would be outmanned by Notre Dame, but after being down by 10 at the half, you manhandled the Irish. What was the turnaround?
Just our defense is a lot better than people think. They play great defense. Glenn Milburn was outstanding. Our entire team, a great victory for Stanford. Thank you.
Congratulations. Now to John Dockery.
Hey, we just...
Well, the Stanford players saluting their fans, and the celebration that you said was not occurring, Chris, now breaks out as the entire team walks over to a section of Stanford fans here in the stadium and giving them their tribute for the long trip, which ends in an upset. Well, while Hannah was visiting with Coach Bill Walsh, John Dockery was talking to Lou Holtz. Here that is, just moments ago.
Coach, a tough loss. Was there a moment or a play when you thought maybe the game went away from you?
I think if anything, it was the interception with the 2016. We have the ball on their 8 or 9 yard line. I think that one was probably critical on it. But I'll say this, Stanford played a fine football game. I lost this football game. We have a tired football team right now. We are very, very tired. We have no quickness, and that's my fault. We've worked them too hard while we're in final exam.
It looked like two different games, Coach. Your whole 16-0 first half, and then the second half was different. You put your finger on anything?
Hey, we just weren't real sharp. I mean, and we normally aren't. We have absolutely no excuses. We had some people open. We dropped some passes. We didn't convert on some. You know, those things happen. I am very disappointed for our players, but I congratulate Stanford.
Okay, Coach.
So Lou Holtz saying that he worked them too hard. And Stanford will go home to Palo Alto with a victory. The final score, Stanford 33, Notre Dame 16. Coming up next, live boxing, former world champion Troy Dorsey and Jesse James Leah battle it out in a battle of two Texans. That's presented by Valvoline and is coming up next, live boxing here on NBC. So for Chris Collinsworth, John Dockery, Jim Lampley, and Hannah Storm, this is Tom Hammond saying so long from Notre Dame Stadium, where Stanford wins 33-16.
With 4,900 touchdowns a day around the world, it's no wonder Delta is the official airline of the NFL.
Monday on Fresh Prince, Hillary's the new weather girl.
Will!
Till Hurricane Will blows in. And then...
we're gonna make fake IDs.
Blossom and Six hit the club scene. Yeah, right. And Tony holds a wake at the house.
No more dead people in the living room.
It's an all-new Fresh Prince Blossom Hour, NBC Monday.